I got to re-up my Costco card. Shit, if Howie Roseman's a member, I got to be one. Those unbelievable signs. Those absolutely unbelievable signs of Howie Roseman. I've got to get my Costco card going. How you doing, everybody? Hopefully everybody had a great weekend. Please hit the like button. Guys, we appreciate you guys so much. Thank you again for coming aboard here. There's so many other options for you guys to choose. Please, all super chats go to the top. By the way, Kyle, I want to get to Kyle's super chat, Xander, right before we start the program out here. And by the way, we are powered by our friends at BetUS for the next 4 hours, so we appreciate that. Kyle, again, if you could, Xander, if we can get that super chat up there, I want to be able to do that. And I thank you very much, Kyle, for getting that super to us here. By the way, we are going to have Marcus Hayes on with us. That'll be at 3:30, and we'll have Angelo Cataldi with us at 4:30. And then we will have Xander. That'll be at the top of the 5 o'clock hour. So do me a favor, hit that like button. Kyle, if you want to repost that, go right ahead. We appreciate you guys very much, especially hopefully everybody had a great weekend. We appreciate it. All right. Let me say this to you. First and foremost, I want to thank Marcus Hayes for having me on WIP last night. I was shocked. My 4.5-year exile ended last night. And Marcus Hayes, who's on at 3:30, had me as a guest last night. And we had a really great conversation. It was shocking that I was on the radio. It's been the first time in 4.5 years that I've been on radio, especially a station like WIP. Steel's got to explain how you ended up on IP. I'm gonna. So I was asking Marcus Hayes to come on for Monday. And Marcus said, hey, do you want to come on my show Sunday night on WIP? And so I said, yeah, I mean, absolutely. I don't really do a lot of radio shows. You know, look, I say that I ended my 4.5-year exile on radio last night, and I did. And he asked me, so I said yes, and we knocked it around for about 20 minutes last night, and we had a great conversation. I'm sure he'll explain what he thought about it here at 3:30 today. So, I mean, I couldn't believe it. Shows how he could do a lot of damage in the draft in the next 2 years. You sure can. 20 picks. Hey, get this here. Sills can be bought. No. If you come on my show, I will go on yours. That's how it's done, KCA. I don't go on anybody's show. That's not what I do. But if you take time out of your day to come on my program, I reciprocate it by going on yours. Those are people I trust. Those are people I like to talk sports with. So that's not everybody. Like, would I go on a regular host on WIP? I don't know if I would do that because I don't really know. And most of the time, it's an ambush. So if you come on my show, I go on yours. That's what I've traditionally done. And what I like to do, like here's Sue, and JD3's like good business. Here's what I do. I try to make my show as exclusive as possible for the people that take time out of your day. How would you like to hear me and see me doing other things and 1,000 other things, not knowing that you take time out of your day and this is exclusive in what I do? I don't like to spread myself around like that. I used to do that years ago when I had to. Everybody knows where Big Sills is today. You know, I don't need to send resumes out anymore, where I don't have to have you listen to me do a show anymore. I've been doing it for 30 plus years. So, I mean, I think everybody kind of knows where I am. Okay, I mean, hey, Sills, can I get a tape? It's not, no. There's enough tape on me out there. I don't really, no, that's not happening. you pretty much know where we are. And thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. By the way, I think I got on IP because of you guys. So thank you guys very much. I mean, that's the first radio show that I've done in 4.5 years. It is. I have not been on the radio in 4.5 years. So Marcus will be with us at 3:30. Angelo, 4:30. And Xander at the top of the 5. Still started cameo. That's funny you should say that. Right after, Xander, listen to this. Right after that performance, let me show you what I got here. I got a cameo. I got to do 2 of them. This is crazy. Not kidding you. I got to do 2 cameos after the program. And let me see if one of them here is for a guy with his birthday. Here, let me show you what this guy is. And I'm going to do this one because he watches the show. Listen to this one, Xander. This one's cool because it's kind of a double. Listen to this here. Hold on. I'm not going to record it yet. Boom. Inbox. Bang. So listen to this. This is from Laura. This is pretty cool, man. This is a great way to start the show up. This is from Laura. Okay? And this is what she said. Sills, my boyfriend watches Birds 365 every day and loves when you're on. He's a huge Eagle fan. Any fun anecdotes or life advice would be great. Profanity's encouraged. We live a pretty simple life and have a 7-month-old son named Walker. Thanks, Big Sills. And I get to record it after. This is one of them. So he watches Birds 365. And he wants me to do it, or she does, for her, I guess, husband and for their son, Walker. Absolutely, I'll do that. Not a lot of money. It's $30. And actually, you know what I do? I send that $30 to the Jerome Brown Foundation each year. So I don't keep that. I send that to Jerome. So it's like $30. I get to keep like 25 of it or something. I don't know. And then I send that $25 up to a guy named Tim Jenkins. And Tim Jenkins takes the money that I get. I get a couple of them every month, and people ask me to do it, especially 99% of them are Philly. And so I send them up to Tim Jenkins. And Tim uses it for Jerome Brown's golf event at the Boys Club up there in Brooksville. So it's just kind of something that, we do. It's not a lot of money. So we just do that, and we send that dough over there. So it's pretty cool. And I've been friends with Tim, I don't know, maybe 30 years, because it's been like 30 years since Jerome's passed away. My guy, Sil's big. Now, don't go Hollywood on me. Yeah, hey, look, I got the face for Hollywood, don't I, Anthony? Then again, I'm supposed to be in a movie with the Philly Godfather, too. I'm supposed to play a rough biker guy. So, yeah. And Jerome Brown, yes, is my friend here. So, yeah, great weekend. My daughter played rugby. They won 47-0. She played great. Absolutely fantastic. She's starting now. I posted some pictures of her. So, yeah, hey, Big Sil's Dancing with the Stars. Hey, M. Reyes, what's funny about that is I was supposed to do a local version of Dancing with the Stars, and then I got fired in Tampa after 15 years. I was going to do it. I said, yeah, no, I'm not in a good place. So, yeah, Jerome is a legend. Absolutely great. All right. You've had a full weekend to absorb the greatness of Howie Roseman. I want to read you these names. Okay, let me read you these names here. Here we go. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, quarterback. AJ Dillon. Some wide receiver named Gray. Keelan Granson and Harrison Bryant, tight end. Hey, that tight end room's looking good without Dallas Goedert in it, isn't it? Grant Calcaterra and these characters. All right. Some dude named Vladimir Valinsky, OT. Here's my favorite. Joshua Uche, edge rusher. Xander likes it because he's got a lot of upside, fast. Number 8, Uchin Matthias, edge. How about that edge room? How's that bitch looking? And Adoree Jackson. I probably missed a couple other stiffs that they've signed. With the wide receiver market going up, or do you see their teams going to more of the RPO, cheaper running back, salad rows too, blocking tiers? Dude, lower costs? That's not what happened. Hey, Kimbo, that's not what happened in Cincinnati. Okay? And believe it or not, the guy with the zipper wallet ended up pulling that zipper back a little bit. T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. They end up signing and now are the richest duo in the NFL. Hey, you got to ask yourself, who was the agent for Devontae Smith? Hunter Biden? Who negotiated that deal? Hunter Biden? Holy cow, man. That thing looks so bad now. Hey, it's good for the Eagles. You know, they know what they're – hey, no shit. The Eagles got – I'm not mad at the Eagles. I'm mad at Devontae. Holy cow. Hunter Biden cut the deal. Yeah, I'll give you a couple paintings if you just knock off $10 million off of Devontae Smith's salary. Holy cow. Hunter Biden went in there all cranked up and he started bidding and doing the contract for Devontae Smith. Holy cow. You had to be on crack to do that deal. My God. I blame the Bud Light that smacked Howie. Howie got rattled by the Bud Light, of all things, in Philly. I thought that beer was outlawed in Philly. Bud Light. Surely that can't be. I mean, if there's one beer at a parade, a Philadelphia Eagle parade, I would think that that would be the one thing that would be banned and deported wherever. Back to San Fran. I don't know. Okay, I mean, I don't know where. I mean, Devontae Smith, dog, you left about $8 million on the table, man, especially with these contracts. All right, so let's get to the first topic here. How much damage has been done to the Philadelphia Eagles roster with the free agent exits? How much damage? Unpaid intern, 2-time Super Bowl champ. He's learning, says Twiz. Still on the parade route, huh? How much damage has been done to the roster? Look at this guy. This guy right here, 0 damage. There you go. That's what I'm looking for. 0 damage. Maxing a decent amount. Look at this guy. 16%. That means one player. Okay? Chills, they took a blowtorch to our defense. That's what I think. They took a blowtorch to your defense. And you're expecting lesser players to fulfill it. All right. Scale of 1 to 10, about a 4. Wow. Anthony believes that they've done damage to the roster. Here's where I'm going with it. I said this last week, and I'll say it again. 100% at each position. Here's what I think. I think the Eagles have done – I think they've done damage to the 2025 team, but they have secured their success for the next 4 years at the expense of the 2025 season. Now, As I said last night to Marcus Hayes, who's going to join us again at 3:30 on IP, I'll say it again. What does that look like? What's that gap in that step back that they're going to take in 25 going to look like? That's yet to be determined. I can't tell you that until they play some games this coming September. I don't know. We have no idea if one of these stiffs doesn't turn out to be Zach Bond. We're going to look at the 25 Eagles as of March 17th. But again, I'll say, I don't know what that means. I think they've taken a step back, a significant step back. I think when you lose 5 starters out of 11, I think that's significant. They're putting an awful lot of faith in the guys that they have and they have drafted. You know, it's funny. I hear Xander, I hear John, and I hear them talking about how great they've drafted. Let's have some fun today, Big Sales. Peter, we are. We take a look at this here and how well they've drafted. Okay? And I want you to, again, I'm going to give you my fair assessment of what I see on the defensive side of the ball. And I'll even add the Becton deal here in a minute. Start with Moro Jomo. Do I think he could take over for Milton Williams? I don't think he has the same versatility. I think he's a good playmaker. I see him around the ball a lot. Do I think he's going to give you the latitude to be able to go to multiple fronts? I don't know that yet. So my biggest question would be on him. How are you using him? And who's his backup now? I got a twofold question here for you. Will he be able to be as flexible as Milton was? I don't know that. And who's his backup? Who's going to be the guy coming in and helping him like he came in and helped Milton Williams? So you've got a question mark at the starter, and you have a question mark on the rotation guy. These are just questions. No indictment yet. The indictment will come in September and in the fall. We may win games. We may win some games. In reality, no repeat sales. I don't know that yet. Master Chief, I don't know that yet. Okay, you may win a lot of games, but you don't know if you're going to repeat. Well, we'll see. I don't think you can make that assessment. I think you got to wait until all the way through September because there could be a trade. I don't know. Okay? Plus, you got a new court. Hey, look, if you're saying that stuff about Detroit and them having a new coordinator, so do you. Let's not forget something here. You've lost all this talent and you lost a coordinator in the process here. So that is also significant. And again, we're talking here where we are now on March 17th. Let's go to the next guy. Here's something else I want to throw here for Jordan Davis. Is Jordan Davis going to have a little bit of a fall off now because Milton's not on the other side of him? He's in a contract year. I am not extending him this offseason. I want to wait until 2025 to see how he plays this year. I need more out of him. He needs to expand that nose play of his and make more plays. He doesn't make enough plays. He's not a play. Jordan Davis is not a playmaker by himself. He's not. If you were going to look at the 11 guys on your defense, he's like 9th. For the 13th pick, you need more. And by the way, I want to show you something here. That's a Howie Roseman pick in the last 3 years. I'll give a grade on it. Steve. Plus. Jordan Davis gets a C+. Okay? I think he played better. But his career so far in Philadelphia has been a C+. He's not lived up to anything that they thought he was going to bring to the table. And if we're debating an extension, he's clearly not lived up to it. So at the end of the day, how great a draft pick is that? I don't know. He was overdrafted. Any way you look at it. So that's an overdraft. Jalen Carter. I think Jalen's great. I think he's going to be the centerpiece of that defense for the next 5 years. And probably north of that. He's a great football player. Let's do this on Nolan Smith over here, who's hurt right now. This is a 2025 team. We're going to start with the defensive side here. This is what we're doing. Okay? Give me a grade on Nolan Smith and how his career has been so far in Philadelphia as a draft pick, 30th pick in the draft. Simmons is signed, same number as CJ, but younger, better. Okay, Kimbo? A B? That is not a B career. That is not a B. Same thing New England did. In order to be successful, long-term good players leave and young players step up. Davis can walk, not paying top dollar for nose. That's right. JD3. I would say this about Nolan Smith. Nolan had a really good last, I would say, 7 games, showing promise. The first 10 were okay. The first year he was here, he was terrible. But again, I feel better about him for sure. As a draft pick, does that fit the 30th pick? Probably. He'll tell you this. He made me feel a lot better about him the last 7 games of the year. Now, the thing I don't feel good about, I still think he's a schwimp. That guy does not have a long career ahead of him. He's too small. Your coordinator always brings up the fact he's undersized. Now, how long does that go? I'm not going to bring that into the conversation, but it has to be part of the evaluation. He's always under the knife. Talent-wise, he can play. He fits in Vic's scheme. But I would say this to you again. Let's see him play a full season and not have to go under the knife. Okay? I mean, you know what I think? If you get a bigger edge rusher on the other side of him, I think that would help him a lot. Because then you can play him on the weak side instead of putting him on the strong side. That guy can, in my opinion, with Nolan Smith, there's no way that guy can play 17 ball games with a tight end and an offensive tackle on him, smashing down on him for 20 weeks. No way can that guy hold up. Not a chance. But you put him in the weak side, the open side, because of his 4.4 speed, that fits. Then you put the other guy who's a bigger dude at 6'4", 265. You put that guy on the strong side. And you make him a strong side, okay? Get this. Hey, dumbass, you drafted him fucking hurt out of Georgia. Every year he's been hurt in Philly. Every year. Read a book. Every year he's been injured. Come on. Don't make excuses. And by the way, I'm giving you a fair assessment on the kid. Okay? Let's go here. Zach Bond. Is Zach Bond going to play the way he played this past season? I think he will. He's got the same 2 dudes in front of him. He signed a boatload of money. I think that's only going to inspire him more. I think he's going to have an opportunity to solidify himself over the next couple of years at being one of the better linebackers in the NFL. I think that guy's going to be a good football player for you for the next 3 years for sure. Transition Keegan to DT. Why not? Chiriani. And he suggested that Becton go over to right guard. Absolutely. Guys, do me a favor. Please hit the like button. All supers go to the top. We appreciate you dudes. Yeah. I think Bond's going to be, I think he's going to be a really good player this year for you. Jacoby Dean hurt again. Missed the playoffs. He was the Carson Wentz of linebackers this year for the Eagles. Okay? Didn't have one thing to do with the postseason or the Super Bowl win. Helped you get there, for sure. And secure home field, for sure. And Dean, I see that, Steve. He's just unreliable because of his health. So if you were going to put a grade on that draft pick, what would you say? You know the one thing you could say about the Eagle draft picks that we're mentioning here? One thing they were right in evaluating, they can play. They can play. But reliability is an issue. Same thing with Goddard. So here's my grade with a draft pick. So far you've got, with Jordan Davis, a C+. Nolan Smith is showing he could be a player. There's somebody you can lean on. How long? And now you got Nakobe. That's a good draft pick. Still, he can play. I know, but can he stay on the field? No. So how good a pick is that? Can you rely on Nakobe Dean to go 20 games if you had to? Yes, never. Is that a good draft pick? You know where it's a good draft pick? He can play. Dallas Goedert can play. Okay? I do think, Abe, that draft or that contract hurts the Eagles. I do think that. Okay? My take on Nakobe Dean, showed he can play for sure. Showed you once again the most consistent thing about him is injuries. There is one thing consistent about Nakobe Dean. He's injured all the time. Whether it's in the first 4 weeks or in the back 4 games left, he's always hurt. Would you draft Nakobe Dean again? Let me ask you about the great draft picks the last couple of years. Would you draft Jordan Davis again? Would you? Would you draft Jordan Davis? Okay. Would you draft Nolan Smith again? You would. Okay. Would you draft Nakobe Dean again? I wouldn't. Would you draft Nakobe Dean? Always hurt. Always hurt. Okay. Great draft. You wouldn't draft the 13th pick. Dean, you wouldn't. You would go Nolan. Okay. You take one of the 3. And would I draft Nolan? Me personally, I think he's a swimp. I wouldn't draft all 3 of them. Just saying. That's a great draft picks. All right. Some of you are going to say that. Now, look, a collective group of these guys, every one of those guys were hurt this year. You had great substitute teachers this year, just like you did in 17. Okay? I'm asking, or Gabe, I'm just following up what your defensive coordinator says. He's undersized. That's your DC talking, not me. Your defense coordinator calls him undersized. I didn't label him that. He's the one called him undersized. Hey, Dan criticizing? Not criticizing. I'm echoing what your coordinator said. What does him tearing his tricep have to do? Dan criticizing Nolan Smith after he helped win a Super Bowl with a torn tricep. I don't give a fuck if he's hurt or not, senor. Stop falling in love with your player. If he's hurt, he's hurt. He gets paid. Stop crying. Criticizing for his availability? Yeah. That's why they're getting rid of Goddard. Because of his availability. Yeah. That's part of it, kid. Holy cow. What a snowflake. Productivity, availability. Do you have both? If you do, you can play. If you don't, you can't. End of story. Jordan Davis, defenders bothers me. How can people act like he's special? He played the same exact amount of reps as Jomo. Actually, he played more. But they're worried about a Jomo. Hey, Jordan Davis has not been a good draft pick. Oh, wait a minute. I'll take that back. He's been a good draft pick. Okay? If he was taken in the second or third round, he'd have been a great pick. Absolutely true. First round pick, top 15, terrible. That's not panning out where you were taken. Hey, look, Milton Williams, Josh Sweat, those guys overachieved. They completely overachieved. Third and fourth rounder, go on to make $26 and $19 million. That's a phenomenal job by those guys. Harbaugh taking Becton. He's a football rain man. I like him there with John Harbaugh. Or excuse me, with Jim Harbaugh. I like him there. Okay, I do. Here, let's take a look at this. Yeah, so you wouldn't draft Nakobe, and you wouldn't draft Jordan. You would draft Nolan. All right. Been there maybe. So two of the three guys you've been telling me the last couple of weeks that you've had a great, you wouldn't draft again. All right. Bryce Huff. He's your starter at strong side linebacker as of right now. I don't know what to say there. You need an edge rusher. There's not a chance in hell that guy's going to be your starting edge rusher start the season. Yeah, let me take a look at that. Quinyon Mitchell. Would you draft him? Yes. Was he drafted too low? Yes. Quinyon Mitchell, I believe, you guys helped me out. I think he was taken 22nd. If I had to redo that draft again, Quinyon Mitchell, 10th. I would say 10th. And I'm talking 10th pick. Something like that. Especially if you just look at the number that Derek Stingley just signed. I mean, Derek Stingley's now making $30 million a year. So you took a kid that was 22nd, if I'm not mistaken. And he should have been drafted 10th, my take. That's an opinion. You're talking about a guy who's potentially in the conversation. Somebody help me out here. Where was Patrick Surtain dropped in the draft? Where did he get taken? I forget. I think he was a top 10 guy. He may have been a top 5 guy. Hugh's kind of in that conversation. Okay, he was 9th. Okay, 9th pick. That's probably where I see him. He's probably 10. So you're looking at potentially a guy who could beat Patrick Surtain. It's a fucking great pick. Your strong safety. It's not going to be Sidney Brown. Right now, you got penciled in Tristan McCollum. You know why? That's who Vic likes. I actually like this player. I actually do. I want to see him with more reps. Of all the guys that is going to have to step up, I know all of you are rooting for Sidney Brown. That's great to root for him. You go right ahead. Every time I saw this kid get in there, I liked him. I think he's got athleticism. I like the kid. I think Vic sees a lot in him. Okay? I don't know. It looks like he's got good instincts back there. I'm a fan of him. I hope he wins that strong safety spot for CJ. They may draft a guy in the 2nd or 3rd round to get another safety. They could make a move in the free agent market to get a safety, but I'm all right with him. Hey, by the way, Tristan and Sidney Brown rotating at that strong safety spot, you're going to have a playmaker there. Tristan McCollum and Sidney Brown are not going to be the turnover machines that CJ Gardner was. I don't think so. Yet to be determined on March 17th. I can't criticize picks when they help win a Super Bowl. I'm talking about building a football team year in and year out. You know, you had a lot of players that were free agents in 17 that helped you win a Super Bowl. They came back the next year and they laid an egg. The group won the Super Bowl for sure, not one player. So it's hard for you to criticize one player? Okay. I'm talking about the group that you've taken a blowtorch to. Remember, you don't win a Super Bowl with one player. You win a Super Bowl with a collection of players. And the collection of players you had taken off your football team. I mean, a unit wins the game, not one player. Thoughts on Bengals cap on 3 guys, no defense. I heard they're trying to make a deal to try to keep Trey Hendrickson. They're trying to work on a contract to keep him in the building. Okay? I mean, you need to. You just can't be what the Eagles do, loaded on one side. Now, one thing you have with the Eagle guys, the young players with the Eagle guys, here's the difference here. You've taken the core players off the defense that was number 1 and replaced them with draft picks that have not had longevity in this league at all. And you're assuming that those players are going to have the same kind of careers. That Milton Williams. Xander and I had a cute debate last week. Will Nolan Smith have a better career than Josh Sweat? Oh, I don't think so. But we'll see. Because I don't think Nolan Smith's going to be healthy enough to have a career like Josh Sweat had. We'll see. That guy had 40 sacks in 5 years for you. That's a lot of production. A lot of reps. Guy played a lot of football for you and was productive. Okay? And here people are going, it's very possible. I know it's very possible. But you let go of a 27-year-old player. Remember something. The guys you let loose, was there one guy in their 30s? Slay. Was he the only guy in his 30s that you let loose on that defensive side of the ball? Rest of them were 28 and 27 years old, right? CJ Gardner, Josh Sweat, Milton Williams. These guys were all in their late 20s, right? All right. You're not talking about Khalil Mack here, 35. Talking about 37 or 27-year-old kids. Don't forget, Marcus Hayes is going to join us at 3:30. And we will also have Angelo on with us. That'll be at 4:30. Give me a total where we are in the likes. Please hit the like button. Reed Blankenship. I think would you give the award for the most improved player for the Eagles last year? Would Reed Blankenship be in your top 3? Would he be in your top 3? He would. I thought Reed had a really good year last year. I mean, I liked him. I thought he played well. I thought he was the vocal leader, like Vic Fangio said. I like him, man. Dean could be your most improved. Okay. I like the way he played. I'm all right with Reed Blankenship. Got to have players like Reed on your team. Keely Ringo is going to be your starting corner as of right now. If you start the season in 2025, Keely Ringo as your corner, you're in trouble. The drop-off from Slay to him is a mountain fall. They're going to go right at that. Teams are going to go right at that. I can't wait to see who the Eagles play in their opener. Would not be surprised if they put the Rams in there. Or maybe Detroit. Or I don't know who they would put in there. Would they do a repeat of the Super Bowl and put Kansas City in that game? Get this. Ringo will be fine, and the defensive coordinator didn't even use them. They went to Isaiah Rodgers. Sure. So again, how much damage? Now the offense. How much of an impact do you think the loss of Becton's going to be in the run game? I heard John talking this morning about it, and I vehemently disagree. How much of an impact do you think Becton's loss is? What would you think? Off the team that had a runner go for 2005, Mr. International goes, I trust Stoutland. Sinbad, very little. 15%. Cosmo. Not very much. Where's Cosmo? Cosmo. Why do you think it's going to be a huge loss, Mekhi Becton not being in the O-line? What would your reasoning be? Let me hear you. Sue, little, not much. Why do you think, Cosmo? You're right, Cosmo. Why do you think the loss of Mekhi Becton's big? See if Cosmo answered. Why do you think the loss, intimidation? Green is the next Becton. 6'7", 360? Why would a loss of Mekhi Becton be a problem for that offensive line? Size, no. Okay. Let me tell you why. Of all the units in pro football, the one thing that has to be sequenced and has to be unilaterally in every single play, working in harmony and in a sequence together, is the O-line. You could have 3 guys in your D-line get blocked. One guy run around a block, make a tackle in the backfield, and that guy can end that play. If one offensive lineman doesn't do his assignment, that play's blown up. It's the toughest group to get everybody on the same page in the game. That's why it takes longer for offensive linemen to develop and for O-lines to develop, is because you miss or you lose a particular player. As good as Becton was, I think he's the easiest to replace. It's time for Steen and Keegan to step up. I've never seen a struggle like guard. You mean right guard. Stoutland is great, but he can't suit up. Here again. And the easiest position is the right guard to replace. That's where you put all your failures at tackle. You slide them down to right guard because it is the easiest. And in the last 3 years, you've had 3 different OGs at right guard. Okay? I mean, they can't pay everybody north of $10 million on the offensive line, especially with Jurgens' deal. Jurgens is going to command $18 million. Our right guard position has been inconsistent for 3 years. They've gotten away with it, though. Sam out. You've had 3 different guys. That's why it's inconsistent. Think about it, Martin. The reason you've had inconsistent play there is because it's been inconsistent in the personnel. But they feel because you got Jurgens, Kelsey, and Lane that you cover a lot of that. And I agree with that philosophy. Like, you can't do this. You can't turn around and pay a right guard $13 million when you got a center you're going to pay $18. Both your tackles are making north of 25 and your guard's making north of 20. That's impossible. That's why all the exits on the defensive side of the ball. You know what's costing the defense and why you can't re-sign guys? It's because your old line is so expensive. By the way, are they doing it wrong? No. Would I rather have a better O-line or D-line? I'd rather have the better O-line. I could do more in controlling the game with my O-line. However, that defense carried your football team to the Super Bowl and won it. That's pretty much the same group you had in 23, except for Barkley. The only thing you did to that offense a year ago was add Barkley. That's it. It's the same group. You passed less, ran more. Not much of an addition. On defense, that defense that you have constructed right now, as is on March 17th, will stop you from doing things you want to do this year because there's too much turnover. The guy, by the way, I don't see you replacing these in the draft, all 5 positions. So what do you, okay, so you think you only have 1 first-round pick. Who are you taking in the first round? A starting corner or a starting edge? Or are you trading for one? Guys have been awful cheap in free agency, or frugal, I'll say. So what do you think? A 3rd-round draft pick is going to take over for corner? How are you replacing these guys? Christian McCullum and Keely Ringo? Okay. That's who you're going to battle with then, because that's what you have right now. Where are you getting these corners from? The draft? Jurgens to guard and draft the center. No way. I think Cam did a great job at center. I thought he was a better center than guard. No way. I think his comfortable position, you like Adoree Jackson. Okay. Adoree Jackson? Kenyon Green is going to be your starting guard. Tyler Steen couldn't beat Becton out. Can he beat Green? If he don't beat Green out, he's a bust. Vic, you trust? Absolutely. Vic gets the benefit of the doubt. He just won a Super Bowl. But don't sit here and try to glaze over this stuff here and think that you're not the same. You're not the same. It's a different football team. Got a lot of work to do. Got a lot of games to play and get reps for a lot of. Hey, look at this. How many reps has Kelee Ringo played at corner? Could somebody, hey, Kyle, how many reps has Kelee Ringo ever played in the NFL at corner? Is there a way to find that out? And how many plays he's played total in his career? Kelee Ringo? How many snaps has he taken in his career? Mr. International says it's like 52 snaps. That's what you're going into September with. A guy who's played 52 snaps. All right. Okay. Eli Ricks and Kelee Ringo. All right. We shall see. Let me ask you this. Do you think the Eagles feel comfortable with those tandem heading into the season at corner? Why did they move off of Slay? It's time. They had to. $10 million. They're going to need that money for Cam Jurgens. Cam Jurgens is going to cost you nearly $20 million annually to pay. 18, something in there. Seals, we have so many draft picks the next 2 years. I think it's 20, brother. We could trade up multiple times or trade for a good player on draft night. The draft is where Howie overcomes the cap on the defensive side. I just pointed this out to you, though. Beard, would you? Beard, and I appreciate that. Thank you, brother. When you talk to people in Philly, they will tell you that Howie's been drafting great. Okay? And I'll ask you, would you draft Kobe again? No. Would you draft Jordan Davis again? Where you took these guys? No. Would you draft Nolan? Probably. Would you draft Sidney? I don't know. I mean, all those guys I just mentioned, you might not draft. How many teams have gone into a new season with every player from the previous year? I'm not talking about going into a season with every player from the previous year. I'm talking you taking 5 contributing starters off your football team. Let's do this. Let's take a look at what their production was, the guys that are gone and where they rank in tackles. Because there was a good debate. Last week, Xander and I had a difference on importance on where those guys were on the production level of your football team. So let's take a look at that. The 4th leading tackler is gone, along with your top interceptor guy, number 4, CJ Gardner. Your number 6 productive player, Slay, is gone. Your number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10th leading tackler, and Oren Burks is gone. Your 11th, Sweat, gone. Your 15th, Isaiah Rodgers, gone. Milton Williams, your 18th, gone. Brandon Graham, actually is the 20th. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of your top 20 tacklers is no longer on the football team. Is that an impact? Your top sack guy, your top interception guy are gone too. Is that an impact on your defense? Losing 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 of your top 20 tacklers is not a problem. Seven of your top. I think it's a huge problem. To be honest, I don't like none of the free agents. The only free agents I liked, Anthony, were yours. But they may develop into good players. I believe in the coaches, but I don't know about these new guys. I don't know either about the new guys. Okay? 7 of your top 10 or 20 tacklers are gone. And here's who you're replacing them with. You're replacing Gardner-Johnson with a guy a year ago in McCollum. Not that bad when he got his opportunity. Slay. That's going to be a tough replace. I think it's going to be tough to replace Josh Sweat. 8 sacks, most yards, and get this too. One thing about Josh Sweat. Josh Sweat was number 1 in sacks on your team. Yards lost in sacks. He was number 2 in tackles for loss. He was around the ball a lot. Who knows? Maybe Sidney Brown has a breakout year. Because of Vic, have to give that the benefit of the doubt. I'm with you on that. Hey, Jeff, yeah. Jeff, by the way, I'm giving all these new guys the benefit because the Eagles have. How many people believe that the Eagles actually offered any one of the free agents that left a contract? What would you say? You think they offered Becton a deal? Probably not. Maybe out of respect they did. AJ said Ringo is a stud from last year. Then how come the D coordinator didn't go to him? I'm sorry, I like Burks over Trotter Jr. Me too. I don't think much of Trotter Jr. I really don't. But we'll see. I think he's too slow. He's got great instincts. He knows how to play the position. He's good on fills. He's not a bad football player. I think he's a really good special teams. And maybe in a couple years, maybe you give him a little more reps. But, dude, John McMullen's guy, Van Sumeren's a better linebacker. I like the guy Thomas Booker. By the way, those backup guys, Booker could be maybe the swing guy. I've liked those guys for 2 years. I'm not saying you're not going to be able to be productive. My question again is, how much damage have you done to your defense and to your team that just won the Super Bowl a month and a half ago? I think quite a bit. But you're relying on Howie and you're relying on the coaches to revamp the team. Would we not agree that the biggest winner in the offseason here, and maybe because of the regular season, has been Vic Fangio? Vic's been the biggest winner. The organization has so much confidence in him that he can do what he did a year ago after what they saw with Sean Desai and those guys. and him being a consultant for the 22 Super Bowl, that they have so much confidence in him that they believe that he is going to not have as much of a drop-off with the new players as some might expect. I happen to agree with that. That's why I say this, and I'll say it to anybody. You're in a rebuild. But what's that rebuild look like? Is it going to be where you can't compete? Absolutely not. I am nowhere near that. Absolutely nowhere near that. The question is going to be, here's the $1 million question. You've taken a reset. There's no getting around it. You're not as good of a roster. Remember what I say when I say right now on March 17th. I'm never going to say you're not as good a team. I don't know what the team's going to look like. I can only base this on roster. And so can you. You have no idea what your team's going to look like. No idea. How could you? You haven't played a game. So the only thing you can base this on now is roster. How does your roster look? That's it. There's no way you can sit here and forecast and project what a player's going to do without playing a game. Again, it's just, it's like rubbing a magic genie lamp. Vic bought Johnson and Becton back to life. My money's on him. Okay? So who is going to be? Becton was obviously with Stoutland. So you believe Jeff Stoutland is going to take Kenyon Green and turn him into Mekhi Becton. Okay? And you believe that Johnson bought Johnson and Becton back to life. I'm thinking you're thinking Stoutland on that, Fred Johnson and Becton. I think that's where you're going there. So those two with Stoutland, I would say. Tyler Steen couldn't win the job last year. You cannot say today, okay, you can't. Well, we're going to have a better team. I don't know that. I mean, until we see them play some ball games that we'll get a true sense of that. Right now, we're just talking based on roster. You don't have the roster you had a year ago. Do you gave more confidence with Stoutland and the O-line or Fangio with the defense? Call it pound for pound because Stoutland has less responsibility. Boy, I'll tell you, that's a great question. I want to do that. And I have that actually, Vic and Jeff. I want to do that. I'll answer that, Bald. I get you're looking at the micro now, but what do you want us to be, the Cowboys? I didn't say you're not doing anything wrong. I never said you're not doing this right. We're taking care of things early to extend our window. I got faith. Listen here, man. You have to listen to me, Devin. I said you're doing everything right. But my question is, you're taking a step back. Once again, when you're resetting or you're rebooting, what does that look like? Is it 14 wins? Is it 12 wins? Are you going to be better by the end of the year? Are you still going to contend? You can reboot and do the right things. You know the teams that don't do the right things and reboot? The Cowboys. Cowboys lose players. They lose wins. The Eagles lose players. They may lose a position in the playoffs or may not win 14 games and may win 11. You're still competitive. Remember something about the 23 season. All the way until the final month of the year, you were still fighting for home field advantage in the NFC East. That's rebooting. And that was a bad year for the Eagles. And you still won 11 ball games. You know what a bad year in Dallas is? 7 wins. that CJ trade put us to like 30 to 35% worse of a hit on defense. So I think it's the group that I'm disappointed in. I mean, your number one tackler, your number one sack guy, your most versatile linemen are gone. And your playmaker on turnovers. How many turnovers? Hey, Kyle, how many turnovers did the top turnover guy have in 23? I know that CJ had 6. Was there any guy close to that? Vic or Jeff Stoutland? I think Jeff Stoutland has a formula and a system that is just second to none. We had Stink on with us last week. And I told him, I go, the way he coaches by giving the first guy and the first team guy as many reps as the third team guy is so awesome of a coach. See, you got to understand, if you're in Philadelphia and you play old line, you're getting developed, looked at, practice tape, game tape, because you get into some of the games and you're constantly ready in case something or someone takes a knee or goes down. That's the greatest coaching you can have. You're prepared mentally and physically. You're developing. This is all in one practice. You know how many guys will just practice the starters and then the backup guys are scout team dudes? I mean, it's tremendous coaching. And you know what I love about Vic? Can I tell you what Clint Hurt told me? You guys are going to love this. By the way, guys, give me a total on the likes. You know what Vic will do? Vic will find somewhere watching film how to play a 3 technique from a guy he likes. The guy he gets a lot of little clips from is Kyle Hamilton on how he wants that safety position played. You know what he does? He'll send these little clips to the guys' phones, and they'll watch it, and he'll go, you see this? This is what I mean by too high and not allowing that zone to expand on 3rd and 11. And this is how you should play it. Goad him into it. Goad him into some of these routes, and he'll show little clips. It's one thing to tell a player on a chalkboard what to do. It's another thing to visually show him what you want him to have it look like. These guys are great coaches, man. On paper, would you rate the defense top 15 like it is today? Coordinator, Carter, Q, DeJean, Vaughn. Yeah. With phenomenal upside. Right now, after you took a blowtorch to your defense, this is a positive. After you took a blowtorch to your defense, I would say this. Could they be top 15? Yeah. With tremendous upside? Yeah. Yeah. I don't really think you're that deep, though. You can't sustain a lot of injuries on that side like you could last year. The one thing that you really had, think about it. You had a swing linebacker, you had a swing D lineman, and you had a swing corner. I don't think you have that this year. And you're going to have to even develop that. Moro Joma was your swing tackle. Oren Burks was your swing linebacker. Isaiah Rodgers was your swing corner. Christian McCullum was your swing safety. Anytime you had injuries, you had capable replacements, and you didn't have that fall off in production. Same thing with your O-line. Becton went out. Steen came in. He wasn't terrible. Actually, Steen, to me, his role, I think, is the swing guard, not the starting guard. I don't think he's that good. We'll see. I mean, can Stoutland turn him into an all-pro? I'll tell you what, I trust his word more than my word. So we'll see, but I don't think he's that good. I think he's okay. Okay? I do. I think he's okay. I mean, so yes. The damage right now for March 17th, it was significant. How much fall off in production? That I can't answer right now. That I can't. Seals, only drafting Dean should truly be questioned. He had an injury issue pre and post draft, but Dean was a third round with a first round grade. Player draft evals can't gauge the personal drive in Davis. No, you're right. That's why sometimes when you go to a combine and you see a guy who's 6'6" or 6'5" run a 4.78, and then here's what I do, Bob. This is why I rarely miss on the guys I see coming out of college, especially the guys in the trenches. If I look like at a guy, and you tell me, Bob, if I'm wrong, the first time I saw Jordan Davis, my first comments on him were this: truly a great combine. Then you went back and you looked at his production at Georgia. It was very limited. He did not make a lot of plays at Georgia. And I said he's not around the ball. He's not productive. And that's carried into the NFL. He's just not a productive lineman. And this past season, they asked him to do less. So, I mean, 13th pick, Sanders right. He can't just be there at the zero technique. That guy's got to play a 3. And you want to have less triple teams on Jalen Carter? Well, you don't have the D lineman on that team right now to take those triple teams away from him. You just got rid of 2 guys that are making north of $20 million a year, and they couldn't do it. And you're assuming that you have guys on your second and third teams that are going to take less? That's insane to think that. They've got to come up with some D tackles and some help for him. They've got to get an edge rusher that attracts traffic to them too. That's why I wanted Myles Garrett. I wanted Myles Garrett because I wanted someone else to get some of the pinpoint off him and get some double teams on someone else. Jordan Davis took double teams. Jordan Davis, I'm telling you, he's a non-productive player. I mean, I saw the kid from Oregon. I think he's not bad. The kid from Michigan's not bad. The kid from Ole Miss is not bad. The kid from Indiana's not bad. There's a couple dudes on that team or that are coming into the draft that are not that bad. Okay? I mean, but they need D-line help. Edge, D tackles, they need guys like that to be in there. Yeah, I mean, he's got to get help. The damage has been a lot. Now, again, we got a long way to the season. You got OTAs and mini camps. Are you going to address all this in the draft? No. You're going to address this in the draft over the next 2 years. Your roster took a hit. Plain and simple. That's taking a hit. Now, does that mean you're not going to be in the... No. It absolutely doesn't mean that. But it does mean this now. That offense has to be better than it was a year ago. And it just can't be one-dimensional. How many games, like I said, did that defense keep you in good field position? And all the tons of 3-and-outs they had a year ago. And how good that team played. By the way, you think there's any coincidence that as the team took off, 2 things became evident with the Eagles. Their defense was getting better weekly. Their run game was getting more dominant. Those were the 2 components. that won you the Lombardi Trophy. How comfortable do you feel moving into that now? Barkley in the run game. You know, the Becton conversation, as we said. You got Jeff Stoutland, best O-line coach in football. Him and Bill Callahan, who's in Tennessee. There's a couple other guys that are in that conversation, but I think Jeff's the best. And you got Vic, finally won his Super Bowl. The thing that I loved the most about him a year ago was that he was a different defense each and every single week. It was never the cookie-cutter defense that it was in 23. We're playing this. That's what Matt Patricia did. Matt Patricia is a cookie-cutter defensive coordinator. We're going to play zone, and this is what we're going to do. Well, sometimes you play two-eye safety. Sometimes you play zone. Sometimes you play 5 front. Sometimes you play 4 front, or you have a 33 look, 34 look. That's what Vic did all last year, and it was effective. But that was because you had the kind of players that you were able to use and be as productive with that because you could put them in multiple positions. Yeah, it's like the Patriots were. He basically took a page out of the New England Patriots, and that's what that defense was. It was a chameleon defense. And that's what confused a lot of teams. Seals of Quentin Williams from the Jets is available. Should we try to make a move for him, maybe like midseason trade? Man, the Jets, yes, I think he's a really good ball player. He's just stuck in a shitty team and a shitty organization. He's a good football player. Okay, he is. You imagine that guy sitting next to Jalen Carter. They need a better tackle next to him. I'm sick of defending Jordan Davis, and I'm not going to any longer. He's not good enough. What will be the key for us to repeat? I think you need Leon. Great question. Me sitting here on March 17th, passing game's got to be better. The running game has to be status quo. I think you got to get more talent in your corner, your edge, and you need more depth. Okay? And the bodies that you signed, I don't know, there could be something in there. Nobody thought Oren Burks and Zach Bond were anything. Could there be somebody and something in there? I'm not going to dismiss it like I did a year ago. So there might be something in there. It could be the tight end. It could be the D tackle. It might be AJ Dillon. Okay? It's going to be somebody who will step up. But remind yourselves, there's going to be a lot of Bryce Huffs and John Rosses in those names as well. You had more failures in free agency signings last year than you did in the signings that you signed. However, the impact signings you had were, without a doubt, instrumental in winning the Lombardi Trophy. You don't sign a guy and 2 free agents who you could have made the argument were the defensive and offensive player of the year. I mean, Zach Bond could have been the defensive player of the year. He was a free agent. Could have made the argument Saquon Barkley was the MVP of the league. Free agents aren't on the market like that. So for the league, or for the Eagles, I should say, not the league, for the Eagles to get that out of 2 guys, to duplicate that again, I think it's $1 trillion to 1. You couldn't do it in 23. You signed trash cans. You've had a great year, a down year, 11 wins. It's crazy to even say it, a down year. Then you came back and you were Super Bowl champions. Is this the down year? You notice it's every other year. That's got to be something to do with money. Marcus Hayes is going to join us at the bottom of the hour. Angelo Cataldi at 4:30. Xander's going to join us at the top of the 5 o'clock hour. I see you've been posting this, Big Rhythm. I got you here. So I think losing 5 starters, we will feel the effects, but saw an interesting topic. How many Eagles have left and we regret it in the last 10 years? Great topic. I can only think of Edwards and CJ. I'd like to have kept Isaac Seumalo. I'll tell you somebody else, too. That wide receiver that Washington had last year, he's just signed somewhere else. I liked him playing your third wideout. Yeah, hey, by the way, Big Rhythm, I saw you post this a couple times. I apologize for not getting to it. Guys, do me a favor. Hit the like button. Marcus is going to join us here in a couple minutes. Says, I think losing 5 starters. It's a great topic. Who have we really missed? Not the quarterback. No wideouts. I don't think you've missed Ertz. You didn't miss Hargrave. You upgraded. You drafted Carter. I'll tell you who I think you've missed. I think you've missed Sue and Linval Joseph in the last couple of years. Those 2 guys were dominant run stoppers. I liked those 2 guys in 22. I thought your backups were superior to the backups on your Super Bowl team. Linval Joseph and Ndamukong Suh, I thought they were good backups. I never really liked Javon Hargrave as a 3-down lineman. I'm not going back 8 years. I'm going back like the last to the Super Bowl. But I see what you're saying in the last 10 years. LeGarrette Blount, red zone back, was one of the best red zone backs in NFL history. You ended up getting rid of Jason Peters. But then you rolled in, like I said, you're going to have 30 years. You're going to have 3 players, Trey Thomas, Jason Peters, and Jordan Mailata playing left tackle, which is insanity. 30 years of great LT play is insane. I liked LeGarrette Blount. I liked him when he was in Tampa, when I was covering the Bucs. I mean, when they got him, he had 1,000 yards in like 8 games or something. He was crazy great. I forget who found. I think John Gruden found him. I think he played for Gruden or maybe Dungy. I don't think he played for. He may have played for Dungy because he played at Oregon. I think Dungy's kid played up there. That's how they found him. Marcus Hayes is going to join us from the Philadelphia Inquirer coming up here in a minute. Did a show last night with him on WIP. It was really awesome being on with him. I had a great time. We spent about 20 minutes together, and we were talking about the Eagles moving forward. So, again, we appreciate him putting us on last night, and he'll be with us here in a couple minutes. Hit the like button. Give me a total also on where we are in the likes right now. Been pretty good at replacing prior production and players. I don't think you've replaced Hassan Reddick. I do not. You haven't had an impact edge rusher. Now, to your point, you won the Super Bowl without that. Okay? Seals, do you think we try to find Lane's replacement this year or next with a high draft pick? I don't think right tackle is a need right now in replacing. I think edge and D tackle, safety and corner are your main concerns right now. And depth at linebacker, because you don't know where Dean is. You really don't know where he is in his recovery and how he's going. Look, Nakobe Dean's not going to get healthier as he moves on in his career, and nor is Nolan Smith. These guys ain't getting healthier. The more damage you do to your body, and the older you get, that becomes more of an issue for you and the organization on what and how they're going to evaluate you. It's nothing personal. Dion says, I believe Howie has a plan. Yeah. He's looking at long-term success versus immediate success. And that doesn't, again, when I say that, that doesn't mean 6 wins. Have to love is how to retain Isaac, Mulata, Johnson, Dickerson, all Hall of Famers. Well, Johnson for sure. Lane is the best right tackle in the game. Yes. Problem with Lane is, Dion, to replace him, I mean, he's untradeable. He's too expensive. He's too good. And he's too old. Like, let me say this to you. If you traded Lane Johnson today, could you get a 1 for him? You probably wouldn't, only because he is 34. But I saw Trent Williams traded late in his career from Washington. Ask yourself and go back to that trade. What did San Francisco have to give up to Trent Williams? It's probably what you would have to give up if you were ever, and I don't believe it ever happened, put Lane Johnson on the market. That's what the asking price would be probably for Lane at his advanced age. He's a great football player. I mean, but again, I mean, you're not getting rid of that, especially after you just lost Becton. Lane Johnson has been one of the best right tackles I've ever seen. $25 million a year, 3-year contract. Yeah, but I'm talking about what was the trade that they had to give up, because I know there were pieces Washington had to get. There was something freaky about that whole thing. I think it was something to do with the medical. I can't remember what the whole deal was and how he got out of Washington. One of the biggest crimes going is how Trent Williams left Washington because they misdiagnosed him. It was ridiculous. Hit the like button. Our friend Marcus Hayes is going to join us here in a couple minutes here. Let's see where we got going here. Great time last night we had too, by the way. So, to finish up that topic, how much damage? Significant. Significant to the roster. How much will it affect the wins? Hard to tell. Got to get into September. If anybody's telling you you're going to have less wins or more wins, that's asinine. Haven't played a game yet. And looking at your 2025 Eagle roster, who's a better roster in the NFC right now? Probably Detroit. Not by a lot. I like the Rams. I think the Rams, again, are still a little light at the D-tackle position. I think they need help at corner, more in the O-line. I think they've addressed wideout. They need help at tight end. And the quarterback is aging. Detroit coordinators, obviously an issue. I think they learned a lesson about depth. They had enough, but they need more. You know what's funny? If you think about what Howie has done with his defense, Milton Williams and Josh Sweat are really good ball players. Are they top 5, top 10? I don't think so at their positions. It's kind of like they don't really have top 3 players like they do on offense, on defense. So is it easier to replace when you got players on that side of the ball that aren't elite? The Eagles have not had an elite defensive football player in my 5 years outside of Jordan or Jalen Carter. I think Slade was there. He probably approached that. But an elite ball player, like one of the top 3 players at that respected position, they haven't had that. And would I consider Zach Bond? I don't know. 1 year doesn't make me think that he's an elite backer, but he sure played like he was one of the top 3 guys. Fletcher Cox was not one of the top 10 defensive tackles when he played at the end of his career. He was a really good ball player. But top 10, I don't think so. The guy that Javon Hargrave got $20 million from San Francisco. So, yeah, we're efforting our friend Marcus Hayes. So let's see where he's at here. Let me see. I apologize here, but hopefully we'll be able to get. Hit the like button, guys. Appreciate you guys very much. All right. I've wrote some questions down now. Okay? I've written some questions down. Let me get to these before we get Marcus here. Here. Let's do this. Did the Eagles do the right things the first week of free agency? Yes. They're securing their future. Yes. By financially being responsible and disciplined, they did the right things. 141 likes. Guys, please do me a favor. Hit the like button. I do not have one problem with securing the future. You know what's funny? They loaded up so many good players that they absorbed the losses. And now it's going to be a question of if it's a 14-win team or a 12-win team. That's running a dual track. Worrying about the money of future players to pay and worrying about the roster all in the same time. So, yes, I think they did the right things. I say no. We are in a Super Bowl window now. Must maximize. Here's this, Leon. I think if what you're saying, look at what the 49ers did. The 49ers paid all those players. They pushed all their chips in, and now they're exiting players. And that's going to affect Brock Purdy, in my opinion. I think the 49er window was 2 years, and they blew it. And now they're in a big rebuild. The 49ers still have really good football players. But I think when you have to exit players like those guys have had to, Pro Bowl safeties and stuff like that and such, I think that's an issue. Number 2, what's the immediate impact of the moves that they have made? Like, what do you think this year is going to bring right now? The immediate moves. Are you still a Super Bowl contending team? All the moves you've made, are you still, in your opinion, in the conversation where you still think you're in a Super Bowl window? I think you are. Like, for me, right now, if I were just to throw a number off, I'd say you're between 10 and 12 wins still because of the O-line, Barkley, Carter, the re-signing of Bond. I'm concerned that corner and edge probably. Your depth at linebacker will be an issue, but I think that can be addressed, especially with the coaching. So, I mean, I still think you're in a conversation where, like, who do I think is better than you in the NFC? I don't think anybody's better. Have the other teams closed the gap like the Rams, Commanders, and Detroit? A little, especially Detroit. Detroit just has to get healthier. Okay, they just have to get healthier. Washington has to show they could do it on a consistent basis. Like Washington has not been good for a long period of time. This is the first year they've been really good. Can they do it again? Are they going to take a step back? Are teams going to be more prepared for Jaden Daniels? Yes, all of that true. How much of an impact is Debo going to make in that offense next to Terry McLaurin? I'll tell you, I like that. Terry McLaurin and Debo Samuel. Robinson, the run game. They get Tunsil at tackle. I mean, they've improved. To what they're better. They're better than they were when they played in the NFC title game. Okay? They are. Marcus is going to be with us in a couple minutes. Will join us here in a few seconds here. So I think you have done the right things. And I think, again, you're still in the conversation for you guys to be a contender. Did the Eagles help the competition in the NFC? Well, I think the NFL did. I don't really think the Eagles meant to help them, but I think the way that the salary cap, when you win, where you draft, I think all of that and how he does business and how the Eagles do business, I think all of that helped the competition get closer. But again, like I've been saying, to what end though? Where are you if you're Detroit? If you're the Rams? I think Green Bay could be in that conversation. I think San Francisco and Dallas are not in that conversation. I don't think Minnesota is in that conversation because they don't have the quarterback position solidified yet. And I would throw this even more so at you. I would look and I would make this comment. Sure, they've taken steps backwards, but what does that look like? I mean, so the Rams have improved. To what end? Have they closed the gap on Philly? I still think you need help, like I said, in your D-tackle position. I still think you're not as physically dominant as them. Detroit's got 2 new coordinators. We saw how that panned out when it came to Philadelphia in 2023. The Cowboys and the Niners are taking steps backwards. I like the Rams. Chicago still has to show me with Caleb Williams where he is. The competition's gotten better, but it was a Grand Canyon of difference between both organizations, between, say, Detroit and Philadelphia. There was like a Grand Canyon in there. In experience, coaching. You know, it's funny, Dan Campbell is considered the crazy maniac coach. Funny, the guy who was considered the crazier maniac coach just won a Super Bowl. And that's exact. Remember Marcus Hayes said this? Hey, Sills, the guy's growing into the position the same way a player grows into the league. Because, again, you come into the league with blinders on. After a while, you know where the down tackle's coming. You don't have to – you have a feel for the game. There's more of a comprehensive feel for it. All right. All that being said, you know, I couldn't believe it last night. And I got to thank this man here because he ended my exile from radio. 4.5 years. I was on the air for 31 years. consistently every year. Did radio. Highest rated shows. And a lot of people have exiled me because I don't really have any guardrails. And he brought me up last night, and we had a great conversation. And I want to thank him. Here's Marcus Hayes from the Philadelphia Inquirer. We had a great conversation last night, and thank you, Marcus. I had a fun time with you last night, man. It was really great.
It was my pleasure. And I mean, I don't know if your audience knows the catalyst of your exiles, but I will say this, and you may put me off the show. You earned your exiles.
I did,
and you've owned them. You know you've owned them, and you haven't repeated them.
Nope.
So and I don't ask permission to have people on my shows when I have them. I figure if you don't want me to have somebody on my show, you'll tell me beforehand, right? So and you were a spectacular. I mean, you're a pro. You're one of the originals, so you know what you're doing. So it was to my benefit that you came on the show. But your knowledge about the league and your knowledge about football and your involvement, you're very well connected. Your involvement to this day with people who are making decisions and setting policy, and your gift is it's funny because you're a defensive lineman, right?
Yeah. Defensive
linemen are usually the dumbest and most stubborn people in all of sports.
Yes.
Because your entire like ethos is running through walls, right? Getting to people and hurting them. That's it. That's what you do. You're infantry. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You ain't the cavalry. You're the infantry. So, but your gift as a defensive, I mean, despite being a defensive lineman and you were a good defensive lineman. You were a successful defensive lineman. So your gift is sort of evolving, which, again, given your not so distant past, it's not universal, but it's not impossible. But in the context I'm talking about is you evolving with the game and understanding the business of the game and the strategies and the flaws in the strategies. No one in America was happier that Saquon Barkley did what he did this year than you were.
Yep.
Because you do not believe that the run game should be abandoned. And there's an entire generation of you and me to a degree that understands the value of a Marshall Faulk over Jamar Chase, So that said, your value to someone like me who hosts a radio show occasionally in a football crazy market and is very attuned to everything going on in college and pro football is massive because you're really kind of a unicorn, like Hugh Douglas and Ike Reese are radio hosts here in town, but they don't have the chops that you have. They're not you. You know what I'm saying? They're not you. John Ritchie is not you. You have the capacity to understand, and you have the hunger to sort of understand and research all of the super nerdy football stuff that is your ilk. So thank you for coming on. I think you're a wonderful resource, and I think your exile from a huge liberal who's pretty lefty. I think your exile and your rehabilitation. Your exile should end. Your rehabilitation is complete.
That's so humbling of you to say, because I'll tell you where I got in trouble, Marcus, and I'll confide in you.
No. Don't do that.
No. You know what? It's something Jason Kelsey's going through now. You can't talk like you're in a locker room because not everybody's going to understand that their friendships and love that you had for players, and they understand you, that you can say anything in a locker room. A locker room is not a microcosm of society.
Well,
There's protocols.
I will say this. I've been in locker rooms for 30 years, 35 years. Locker rooms have changed.
Okay. That's
Even
probably why.
locker room.
That's probably why Okay. There you go. Okay. You just nailed it there. Okay.
I mean, if you remember 2015, 2016, the phrase locker room talk came up quite a bit. And there are guys in the locker room like, we don't say that stuff. That's
Incognito. Richie Incognito. Those days are gone.
Oh no. Yeah, that's passe. I think probably for the better, but again, context and intent do matter. So let's charge forward through the brave new world.
You bet. Let's do this here. Week 1 of free agency. How much damage has been done in free agency to the 2025 chances of the Eagles repeating as champions?
Very little. I mean,
wow.
Yeah, we were speaking last night. I think Washington is better, and it'll be interesting to see how the league adjusts to Jaden Daniels and how Jaden Daniels adjusts to the league. Quinn wasn't a great coach his first time around. See, it'll be interesting to see how he adjusts to that. But yeah, I mean, the Eagles were by so much the best team in the NFL by so far. And, I understand Detroit was banged up. Like, they had 13 guys out, right? Yep. So maybe that gap won't be as big in September as it was in January. But this is the best Eagles roster in history. It's the best roster in the NFL. It was at the end of the year. It will be again. It is right now. And that won't change whether, Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers goes wherever they go. There aren't a whole lot of big pieces there aren't a whole lot of big pieces left to fall. So you kind of know who's going to be what. And that's why the Eagles didn't, sort of sell the farm chasing a name or names or trying to retain Milton Williams or Josh Sweat, who I love. Milton Williams more than Josh Sweat at this point, and Milton Williams from the day he was drafted. I think his career arc has been exactly what I thought it would be and Howie thought it would be when he drafted him controversially over another guy that Tom Donahoe, the advisor, didn't really want that. That was one of my favorite behind-the-scenes moments in sports history, where Howie tried to give Tom Donahoe a high five and Tom Donahoe iced him. Yeah, they know they're good. And here's the thing. Like, I wrote a column about this for this past weekend. They lose from the top, say, Milton Williams, who's maybe most valuable because of his youth and his dynamism and the defensive tackle position. Josh Sweat, who's been very, very productive and still isn't 30. Mekhi Becton, who I think we all are a little reluctant to anoint as this great reclamation project after 4 years of poor play in New York with the Jets and 1 year of good play on the best offensive line in Eagles history. And who else did they lose significantly? Darius Slay, but who's not a $10 million player anymore. Isaiah Rodgers, who I think we forget about. He was a very, very good backup cornerback. They lose those guys. All well and good. Their 2 returning starting cornerbacks were rookies last year. Their quarterback is entering his 6th season, his 5th as a starter, if I'm not mistaken. Their number 2 wide receiver is entering his 4th or 5th season. Their middle linebacker is entering his 6th season, but his 2nd year as a starter. Their safety is entering, I believe, his 4th season. Their returning safety is entering his 4th. Oh, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson also. They lost him. And their center, Cam Jurgens, is entering his 4th season, his 2nd as a starting center. And Landon Dickerson, their left guard, has gone to 2 Pro Bowls, I think, is entering his 4th or 5th season. So that's 8 guys, 8 principal guys. Jalen Carter, their best football player, except for Saquon Barkley, is entering his 3rd season, and Jordan Davis is entering his 4th. That's 10 of your 22 significant players, most significant players, all of whom should get better. There's no reason any of them should be stagnant or regress. All of them have gotten better consistently, whether it's a rookie getting better during the year. If you look at the numbers for Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, their numbers were better at the end of the year than at the beginning of the year. And that's when they're supposed to hit the rookie wall and drop off. And they're playing every play. They're quarterbacks. So they're on the field all the time. Jalen Carter played more snaps, the higher percentage of snaps and more total snaps this season in his second season than Fletcher Cox ever did. And he got better all year long. He was an elite player all year long. So there's no reason to think any of them won't continue to improve, right?
Yeah.
So if you've got 10 guys that are going to get better, to me, that at least makes up for what you've lost. Now, you have a wild card for me in Bryce Huff, who can't be any worse because he was useless. And he was hurt, So he was injured and he was misused. That is Vic Fangio's failure. He believed he could make him an every down defensive end, used him that way, and lost the season of it. That's Vic Fangio had a great year. He blew that one. Okay. I don't know if Bryce Huff would have succeeded as a specialty third down edge rusher, but he wasn't used that way and he failed. Fortunately for the Eagles, Jalix Hunt, a rookie, and Nolan Smith, a second-year player, got more snaps, especially after Brandon Graham got hurt, and were allowed to flourish in the absence of Bryce Huff. So I think it's not unfair to say that getting something from Bryce Huff, even if this isn't Josh Sweat level production, getting something from him is not, I don't think it should be out of the question. All that said, so now you've got 11 guys who should be better than they were last year. That's half your team. Half of your team should be better. So yes, you can absorb losses, and you have a general manager who's shown a great knack, except for maybe 1 year, a great knack for understanding what fits with this system since 2016. In 2016, they hired 2 front office guys to help him out, Joe Douglas and Andy White. And one was a good pro scout, one was a good college scout, and he learned from them. And they've moved on now, but Howie's a better GM since then. They helped build that 2017 team and then went on to do different things of their own. But since 2017, Howie Roseman has done a very, very good job of understanding what that coaching staff and that scheme needs, and they've been more successful than not. So again, I think I said this last night to you. Their most valuable person in their organization over the last 7-8 years is probably Howie Roseman.
How about this too? Howie, is he a better listener now? And, look at Vic Fangio now and the equity he's built inside that organization. Let's not forget he was a consultant on the 22 team. He leaves for Miami, he comes back, and he takes what people were calling, Nolan Smith a bust. Nakobe Dean can't stay healthy, and he was non-productive. You're looking at, yes, there were misses with Huff, but then there are grand slams with Burks. Burks was a great find because he played the playoffs. He just signed a nice contract for a backup guy in Cincinnati. And, of course, you got what you ended up getting here with Zach Bond. The equity that he's built, do you think Howie now takes more confidence in the fact of the guys that he's going to? Can we live without CJ? Can we live without Milton? You think he's a better listener right now than he's been at any time in his career as a general manager?
I believe that the presence of Jeff Stoutland, combined with his exile, Howie Roseman's exile, and the presence of Jeff Stoutland and the humiliation of 2019 and 2020 combined to make Howie a much better listener, a much more secure and confident leader. The hardest thing to do as a leader, and you've been on teams, you know what the leaders do. The leaders allow people to flourish. The best leaders take in all the information and then make the decision, own the decision. But as a leader, and Nick Sirianni did this, right? As a leader, your job is to put people beneath you to give you the best information to make the best decisions. So you're responsible for the people beneath you, and you're responsible for the decisions because those people exist because you put them there. So the decision's all yours. However, you have to be able to listen to them without bias. And I think that the two best draft picks Howie's made probably in his career, I think will prove to be Landon Dickerson and Cam Jurgens, who were draft and stash guys. They both projected to be higher draft picks than they wound up being. Landon had an injury history, and they were able to get Cam in the second round. Those guys are elite offensive linemen. Those guys were scouted, worked out, interviewed by Jeff Stoutland, who I will contend, until I hear otherwise. The only coach in Philadelphia history that I know of who's been a better coach than Jeff Stoutland is Larry Brown, who's one of the greatest basketball coaches in history. But regardless of head coach, assistant coach, whatever, Jeff Stoutland's the best coach I've been around. He gets the most out of almost every player that he gets, no matter what that player's style of play, personality, whatever. That said, I believe the existence of Jeff Stoutland has let Howie hear things more thoroughly and fully. Now, not everybody's going to be as good as Jeff Stoutland. So Howie's going to have more of his own initiative with other coaches. All right. But I think they have scouts, front office people, and coaches that Howie trusts, respects, and listens to. So yes, he's a better listener, but he's a better listener not only because he's matured as an administrator, as a leader, but I think he has people around him that he more fully trusts and respects. And the fruits of that recently have been, 2 Super Bowl trips and a win.
Is this fair to say then with Nick Sirianni's role that do you view it as, well, Howie is the guy that puts the orchestra together and it's Nick that has to get out in front and play that orchestra during the season? Or is it Howie playing the orchestra and Nick's just a tuba player somewhere in that whole group? I mean,
who's tuba players, man?
Nothing wrong with tuba players,
guys.
I'm good with that. I'm all right with that. I'm like, hey, you have to have the tuba in the orchestra for it to be
successful. Of the marching band.
Yeah, I'm good at. Oh, wait, I'm not picking everybody. I'm not picking on tuba players. All right.
John would be having an aneurysm right now. So no, to answer your question, I really believe it's a good synergy. And that's why I'm not worried for Eagles and the Eagles fans with the subtraction of Kellen Moore, because not that I think that Moore's replacement is going to be super good, but I think Nick was a big part of the offensive philosophy. I think he's learned from Kellen Moore. I think that he'll be a better coach. And I think that the entire offensive room, including Stoutland and Moore and Nick, and I just think it's been kind of a group effort. And Kellen Moore was perfect for that, by the way. Kellen Moore is not a super alpha guy. He's not a beta guy, but he's not a super alpha guy. He worked for Jerry Jones. Yeah. All right. So you have to be able to take leadership and guidance if you work for Jerry Jones. So, I think it's a really good partnership. I don't think that Howie makes a move without the head coach, the offensive room, and Vic Fangio buying into the move. Like, I don't think he would force somebody down their throat. And I think he would have done that in the past. I think that's something Howie would have been like, look, I'm the boss here. You have to take this. So I think they come to compromises. Now, if there's an impasse, it's Howie's move. But I don't think they get to a lot of impasses. Because honestly, I mean, when you're evaluating talent, talent's talent. I mean, you might be 90% on a guy and Howie's 100% on a guy, but you're 90%.
Yeah.
You know, you're not going to pound the table and say, no way, I don't want this guy. That almost never happens. You know, sometimes you get like 70-30, but it's never like 100-0, right? Because talent is talent. And you may not want to take a guy in that slot. You might not want to spend that much money, but that's Howie's decision. Getting the guy in the building is usually a very complementary exercise for most teams. And that's been true really probably for the last 10 or 15 years with every team. Even teams that, you know, from the Belichick teams to the Nick Sirianni team when he got here and had no power. You know, you don't acquire people that your coaches don't think you should acquire or they think they can't coach.
Two last ones here for you. Do you have a problem with how the organization spends its money with so much cash on the offensive side? And it's almost like, I mean, no disrespect to the players that they're bringing in. I mean, some of these guys, I mean, Howie must be using his Costco card because some of these guys, man, I mean, again, I know you have to build a 90-man roster out, Marcus, to go to training camp, and you have to have guys going in there. But to sit there and think that you're going to find a Zach Bonner or Oren Burks, and I'm not dismissing you won't, because they've shown the propensity to find guys. I mean, even when they made the trade for Gardner-Johnson, he was a corner who was a failed corner in New Orleans. They turned him into a safety, and he had 12 picks for the Eagles in 2 years starting for them. So, I mean, I get it. I mean, they're good at finding these guys, especially down roster. But, man, they spend an awful lot of money on one side of the ball. And every year it's a revolving door on that side. And I think sometimes that's why people look at it and go, you took a blowtorch to the number one defense. And to your point, I think you're right. You're in a position where you can replace that. And the falling off the cliff is not going to be as demonstrative as many people think. And I think you're right. But, man, they spend a lot of money on that offense. Is that an issue for you?
It's not an issue because it's not true.
Okay.
Right now, they're spending a lot of money on the offense. Before they signed Jalen Hurts, Fletcher Cox was the highest paid Eagle in history. Okay? Brandon Graham made a ton of money. Darius Slay made a ton of money. Malcolm Jenkins made a ton of money. Okay? They don't spend at linebacker. But they spend on the edge. They spend at defensive tackle. They've spent at safety, and they spend at corner. I mean, the worst contract Howie's ever written was James Bradbury. Now, I'm not saying it was a bad contract on the front end, but he got nothing out of it on the back end. Bradbury was a bad player in 2023. He didn't play in 2024. So they spend money. I mean, recently they've spent money on the back end, on the defense. Right now, they're in a situation where they've got, you know, their three best defenders are on rookie deals, right? Maybe four if you think Nolan Smith is among their best defenders.
Yeah.
Okay. So they don't need to spend that money. In a year or two, I think after next year, they can extend Nolan Smith. And you won't be saying this. He will be the highest paid defensive tackle, assuming everything goes as per schedule. He'll be the highest paid defensive tackle in the league because he'll be one of the top five. And he'll be that year's, you know, he'll be eligible. He'll be that year's guy. They're going to spend money on Jordan Davis. I think they're going to, you know, take his fifth-year option, and I think they're going to spend money on both those guys at the same time. So I don't think we'll be having this conversation in a year from now. Like a year from today, they're going to be expected to have extended these guys already. It's just coincidental. They invest money on their best players and always have, because Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, Darius Slay, and Javon Hargrave made money. Remember him?
Yep.
And what about Hassan Reddick, who was a good deal but still money, and Bryce Hoff?
Yeah.
I mean, they spend money on defense, not as effectively and certainly not as much. And I don't think that will ever be true. I think they will always draft defense and offensive linemen, draft defense and offensive linemen, and sign established players, established offensive players, or trade for them. You know, AJ Brown, and let's be honest, the best players on the team are AJ Brown and Saquon Barkley. They didn't draft either guy. They traded a first-round pick for one of them, then paid him twice in AJ Brown and got their money's worth, and Saquon Barkley, who they just extended and didn't have to. So certainly they prioritize offense, but it's been my experience that they tend to prioritize offense that has proven itself and draft defense.
I have to ask you one non-football question here. Daryl Morey, we talked about not being able to do anything with Embiid because they extended him. I mean, can you name me one thing that Daryl Morey has done that was a winning proposition when he was in Houston, when he was anywhere where he brought massive success to an organization as a general manager? I mean, I can't help me out here, Marcus. I can't think of a place where he's won. I mean,
well, he's only been two places, and he didn't win in Houston. I never liked the Houston teams. I never liked building a roster around a small forward playing point guard who needed to shoot volume threes and get fouled all the time. I thought that was always flawed. That said, James Harden's going to be in the Hall of Fame. He's a spectacular player. They probably should have won there. Those were flawed. I don't think Daryl Morey is a very good builder of teams. I think he's a good evaluator of talent. Daryl Morey drafted Tyrese Maxey and extended it. You know, that's Daryl Morey. He just got here, and the Sixers liked Tyrese Maxey, and he sort of allowed them to draft him. But he liked Tyrese Maxey too. He's a first-round pick. Jared McCain's a good ball player. The rookie. He got hurt, but he's a good ball player. But no, he's made mistakes. Not trading Ben Simmons earlier was a mistake. And honestly, you can say not extending James Harden to the money he wanted was a mistake, because James Harden's not as good as Paul George, and Paul George got James Harden's money. James Harden went to the All-Star game this year. So, no, I mean, Daryl Morey is a really, really, really smart guy who I think gets in his own way sometimes. Like, for example, there were better options this season than Eric Gordon, Kyle Lowry, and Andre Drummond, all of whom are old and all of whom are hurt. I'm not saying that you need to like push for the playoffs or whatever with Joel Embiid and Paul George hurt. But if they were younger and healthier, they would be a play-in team. And that might not be the best thing, but they would be. He made mistake. Those are three mistakes he's made with those guys. He made the same mistake with PJ Tucker, who was too old. He was tough, but he was too old. You know, you can argue, and it's an argument nobody in Philly wants to make, that not extending Tobias Harris was a giant mistake, because Tobias Harris has not been as good as Paul George this year. I mean, right. Paul George has not been as good as Tobias Harris this year. I know Tobias Harris scored 0 points in his last game as a Sixer in the playoffs, but he played. Paul George ain't playing.
Man.
So, yeah, I mean, Daryl Morey, the idea of Daryl Morey, and the social media can be a wonderful disseminator of information, but it can also create mirages. Daryl Morey is very much a social media mirage. Most of the people who are these social media warriors, especially the sort of the NBA nerds, love Daryl Morey because Daryl Morey exists in an environment that validates them. Like, I'm not a player, I'm not in the league, but I know numbers, and this should happen, and I'm a fan, yada, yada, yada. Daryl Morey is very much that guy. He's smarter than all of them and a better basketball guy than all of them. But he's a superstar with the social media analytics guys. But he's not a successful general manager given the resources and the time he's been in the league. He just isn't. And I learned stuff from Daryl Morey every time I talk to him. He's a really interesting guy. He's charming. But, you know, I learned a lot more when I talked to Jerry West.
Oh, absolutely, man. I mean, that guy was just
he built incredible. The Lakers, and he built the Warriors, you know.
And actually, you can even make the comment that he helped Memphis.
Yeah.
With what he did there, also to getting that basketball program going.
Absolutely, like probably the most significant entity in the history of basketball, modern basketball, is Jerry West. He's the logo, and he builds champions, and he wanted Kobe. Like, nobody else wanted Kobe coming out of there. Jerry West, like, this is our guy, you know? So, like, what Jerry West, is just, it can't be overstated. He's like the Babe Ruth of basketball in the entirety of basketball, as a college player, high school player, college player, NBA player, and executive. He is just unreal. He's like the unicorn.
That's why he's the logo. Hey, Nova, I mean, I would say Patino, if he was younger, would be a nice target for them. But
I'm sorry, say that again.
I would have thought
Nova?
maybe Patino would have been a nice target for Nova, but maybe too old.
I think Richard Pitino is
the young kid,
a good target for them. But I don't think that it's going to be, I think, a long road before Villanova becomes relevant again, because you have an entity in Villanova that Villanovans love. Like, it was fun to watch Villanova play basketball. They went 7, 8, 9 deep. They played great defense, selfless, disciplined offense, and they didn't care what the score was. That was Archidiakono and Brunson did not care what the score was. They were going to make the right play in that moment. That's a hard sell, and you have to be a certain kind of coach to sell that. And I'm not sure that coach, like Danny Hurley, is that kind of coach. But look at the baggage a guy like Danny Hurley brings.
Oh, yeah.
So, and it's going to take, I'm not saying it can't happen. I just think it's going to be a long time before a program like Villanova becomes relevant every year again. And I don't know if it'll ever happen. And it didn't happen for a while. They weren't relevant.
Well, there was a big gap from Massimino all the way down, until the recent success with Jay.
I mean, Lapis had good teams, right?
Yep. Okay.
Not great. They didn't have national championship contenders, but talented teams. But so there were the hot spots of relevancy, and they've been the best Philly organization, best Philly basketball team since Massimino aggregate, right? But I think it's going to be a long time. Villanova sort of has to figure out what it is too, with the NIL and portal, the threat of the portal and things like that. So it'll be an interesting thing to watch, but I think it's going to be a while really before any of the Philly 6 teams are programs that are destination programs and perennial sort of relevant programs.
That's going to be a tough one there, no doubt about it. Tournament's right around the corner. Marcus, thank you so much. You're always great. You spent so much time with me. I can't thank you enough for what you did for me last night. Really. No, honestly, you know what? It's not just the fact that you did that. We had a great time, and it was a great time, but I just want to thank you. I think there's more ramifications about what you did for me than what people know, and how I take it, at least for me, Marcus, okay? I mean, all right? I mean, and I want to thank you personally. Thank you very much.
It was my pleasure. You're a great guest, and I've always liked you, and I like you even better what you've become. Congratulations, and we'll do it again.
Thank you so much, sir. Have a great one. Make sure you check out our friends column. Thank you, Marcus.
All right. Take care, Dan.
You got it. Marcus Hayes from the Philadelphia Inquirer. Yep. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Hey, Xander said something to me about how these guys now are taken to me in Philadelphia. Got another guy coming up, Angelo. I got to thank Angelo. Wait till you hear what Angelo did. These guys want me to succeed in Philly. Marcus said your exile's over. You deserved them. Probably so. I said, if I could have took one thing back, it would have been the whole Aaron Andrews thing. I'd have took that back. The other one was a mistake. I have to own it all. By the way, I own everything. But, yeah. But when you're on the air for 37 years, you're going to say stupid shit. And if last year wasn't a prime example, look at Sue. Sil, stop it. I think Sue likes me more of an asshole. I think you do, Sue. I think you like me more. How about this? Marcus doesn't think you guys are taking a step backwards, and there's not that much damage that's been done. There's not been. Okay, I got to take a timeout. Give me a total on the likes. Man, that made my day. It did. That made my aunt's day. I can tell you that. Pretty cool. 179. Let's get that bad puppy up over 200. Angelo Cataldi is going to be with us at the bottom of the hour here. Don't forget our great friends at Morgan & Morgan. We are so proud to have Morgan & Morgan with us, and I can't thank John Morgan and Ultima Morgan enough for investing in our program. We got Marcus Hayes doing what he's doing, putting me on WIP. We got advertisers coming back to the program. And we got an advertiser like Morgan & Morgan, the largest injury law firm in America, with over $20 billion recovered for clients across the country. Absolutely awesome. We appreciate that. Marcus just said, I'm sorry for being late. And he also just made a comment here about, it's my pleasure to do this. He goes, hey, I just want you to know that I am one of your biggest fans. Marcus Hayes, Philadelphia Inquirer, is one of my biggest fans. Let me redo the read here, Xander. Morgan & Morgan, very proud to have them part of the program. #1 injury law firm in America with over $20 billion recovered for their clients, like our friends here in Pennsylvania. They were initially offered $650K. Morgan & Morgan went in and got $26 million in recovery for that family. Or in Florida, family was initially offered $350K. $12 million was given to that family. If you're ever hurt, do me a favor. Please check out my friends at Morgan & Morgan. Go to forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. That's forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. And do me a favor. You tell them Big Sil sent you.
This is Eric. When he got injured in a car accident, he called Morgan & Morgan. He not only gets a lawyer, he gets trial lawyers like Sam and Jessica, who are in it to win it. He gets his own investigators with briefcases, leather ones. And if you ever have questions, our customer service folks keep things rolling. Injured? We're your army. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Ignite your nights with free live entertainment daily, only at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia's Center Bar. 7 days a week, enjoy some of the region's top party bands, performers, and DJs as they take the stage in the heart of the casino action. Great cocktails, live music, and lively moments. It's all happening at Center Bar at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia. Visit livecasinophilly.com for more details and the complete list of upcoming events. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Your financial future is on the line. Are you ready for what's next? At Leone & Company Wealth Management, we help young professionals, business owners, and pre-retirees navigate the complexities of building and protecting wealth. For young professionals, we'll help you grow your wealth, plan for your future, and make the most of your hard-earned dollars. For business owners, we provide strategies to protect your company, manage risks, and create a lasting legacy for both your business and personal wealth. For pre-retirees, we'll design a plan to secure your retirement, ensuring you can live comfortably and confidently in your next chapter. Whether you're just starting out, managing a thriving business, or preparing for retirement, we're here to help you take control of your financial future. The first consultation is on us. Get the advice you need without the cost. Let's make your financial vision a reality. Take the next step. Scan the QR code to schedule your free consultation today. And of course, go Birds.
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong as the #1 health insurer in the region. No IBX is always looking out for you.
EAGLES. Eagles.
Darius Slay sends out a thank you to all Eagle fans. Had a great career. By the way, real quick, let me write that down here. I want to remember. So Marcus called me a unicorn. That's the problem that my industry has with me. Like he said, John Ritchie and Hugh Douglas and those guys, they're okay, but they're not big sales. And they can't do a show like we do. That's why they're in the 2-chair. So again, we are a unicorn. We've always been the unicorn, and that's aggravated my industry. Remember, nobody likes a former athlete having a talk show. There's very few of them. They don't like that because they think you can't. And what Marcus was alluding to with us was that most of the guys are reactionary. They're not the smartest. They're not the most articulate. Not that I'm exceptionally articulate, but I know how to run a show because I've been doing it for over 30 years. And he goes, you were a unicorn. There's nobody like you. I'm kind of like Jalen Hurts, right? Not the most articulate guy, but I'll tell you what, this guy knows everything about everybody and he's well connected. I don't know how. I think it's just because we've done it. But we're a unicorn. Hey, Joseph, you definitely ain't a damn journalist. Why in the world would you insult me like that? I'm nowhere near a journalist. Okay? Yeah. And I subscribe to that. By the way, Angelo's going to join us here in a couple minutes. I want to show you something what the Eagles did this year. Okay? Jalen Sileo or Daniel Hurts. No, that don't have a good ring to it. Big Sills has the ring to it. Sills a Jalenite now? No. Hey, take it for what it is. He's my top 5. He's in my top 5. Ugh. Last night he asked me too what I thought of Jalen Hurts. And I said, well, you can't dismiss the resume. I don't care if I don't like his style or what have you. You can't. You can't do it. Hey, I got to tell you guys real quick here before we get Angelo up. So I text Angelo Cataldi that I'm going on WIP. And my wife goes like this to me. Not a chance. You make it on. That program director will be in Marcus's rear end. Sure enough, we went on. And as Angelo predicted, I get a text from Marcus. Marcus, who was on with us earlier. I'll kind of convey it to Angelo before he comes on. He says, you were spectacular. I've never heard anything like it. And then, just as you heard a couple minutes ago, he called me the unicorn. He said the reason that people don't like you is because Hugh Douglas, John Ritchie, those guys, they're nowhere in your league. And you're a unicorn. And I got to tell you what Angelo said. Folks, you want to know what Angelo Cataldi, who Angelo's right. Me and him have kind of the same mentality. We have really good acquaintances in our business. Really good friends? I don't know. But we have guys who we like. And so last night on the air on WIP, this is what Marcus said. Hey, listen, there's a guy talking Philly sports. been on his podcast a couple times. If you get asked to go on that, you should do that. He said this on the air last night. And then after I got done with the segment, he goes, Angelo was spot on. You're one of the best people I've ever heard. And I go, and that's what Angelo wrote in his book to me. So I got to thank him right now. Let me bring in Angelo here, and let's bring up Angelo Cataldi now. Angelo, I mean, you know, you find out who your friends are when they're talking behind your back. And you know when they're talking good about you or bad about you, because last night, for the life of me, I never thought I'd ever be on that. And by the way, it ended my 4.5-year exile from radio. It was the first time I've been on radio. And he just said, Angelo told me to have you on. And we were all like with our jaws to the floor going, you're spectacular. And I'm like, no, I got to thank Angelo. And he goes, yeah, well, let me tell you something. I'm a fan now too. So I have to thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, I first of all, I'm not in any way belittling the people that are still there. I think they're all terrific, but you are right there with them. And the fact of the matter is, I guess you're kind of a secret, at least in Philadelphia until now. And what I love about the way you do it, Dan, is that you're not taking prisoners. And you're not trying to make friends.
No.
And, you know, I did it for 33 years. I've been done for 2 now. I have lots of really good acquaintances. I don't have any friends.
I'm with you.
Because then, first of all, the players or the people in the sports community, they pretty much hated me. And that was fine. That's part of the job description. If you think I'm going to placate you by saying something nice when you did something stupid, no, I'm not going to do it. And I just, you know what, I always kind of thought friendship was a little overrated. I know people that get older, they go, the only thing that matters now is my family and my friends. Well, yes, your family, definitely. Your friends, I don't know. So I never made any. I never tried to. My friend was the truth. I gave you my truth, whether it was right or whether it was spectacularly wrong, like my prediction of 5 wins this year. I just gave you what I thought. That's all I ever did. And that's what I'm doing on my blog. I just finished a big post, which really kind of criticized Howie Roseman, which in Philadelphia right now, Dan, no one's even going near that. Even though this offseason is nothing like last offseason. And he's let a lot of good people go. And nobody, I mean, the guy had a parade. He got hit in the head with a beer can. We can't say anything negative about Howie right now, but he made some mistakes here, and it's going to hurt him. And I just say it. So guess what? No friends today either.
No, I said they took a blowtorch to the defense. I mean,
why?
They just absolutely took a blowtorch here. And here would be a topic question to you. How much damage do you think that they have done in free agency with all of these free agents leaving to the number one defense that carried that football team across the finish line? You could even make the argument. I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs didn't cross the 50 until the midway through the third quarter, and you took a blowtorch to that entire unit. What do you see with this?
There's a lot to digest here, but the defense was so aggressive this year, and everybody gave Vic Fangio all the credit. And he did a great job as a defensive coordinator. But you had 2 guys you just watched walk out who were the personification of that attitude. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, a complete pain in the ass. Nothing but trouble. But hellacious on the football field. Darius Slay, big play Slay, way over the hill. But his persona, he took these young guys, these rookies, and he mentored them and made these guys really aggressive, tough players. And both of those voices are not in the locker room anymore. And who's going to do it? I mean, Carter, maybe. He's certainly good enough as a player to do it, but I don't know if he's that kind of a leader. I don't like it. I researched this a little bit because I really went through the whole list. And Howie said 2 weeks after they won the Super Bowl that he made a mistake 7 years ago when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, and he had too much of an emotional attachment to players, and he kept too many of them. Well, I'm sensing now he went too far the other way, that he didn't hit. Milton Williams is not he's not the greatest player in the league, and he got an ungodly deal in New England. But I hope you have somebody else who could stay there next to Carter and help out the way Williams did. Same with Josh Sweat. These guys are not going to be as good on the teams they sign with because Carter's not on the line with them.
How about this too, Angelo? I mean, last year, Jalen Carter had the most double teams and triple teams of any defensive tackle. Am I under the assumption that the second and third team Eagle D lineman guys are going to dissipate that? It's going to be more. So what the plan was to move off of those guys financially, and you really believe that Moro Ojomo and whoever you have, Thomas Booker, are going to create less double teams than what Sweat and Milton Williams, who just signed north of $20 million a year deals? I don't believe that.
No. Now, the Williams deal, you couldn't go near that. I know what the hell the Patriots are out of their minds with that, all right? Sweat, he's a pretty good player. You're going to miss him. On the other side, and Oren Burks. Well, when Nakobe Dean went down, right?
He was great.
Right? Burks came in. Are they actually thinking Dean is going to be able to survive a whole season in the NFL?
No
they
way.
haven't done it yet, right? And Burks, they didn't lose a thing with Burke, and they just let him walk on a one-year deal. No, I don't think that's. I know how he has a lot of faith in his draft, and I know he's going to do exactly what he did last year: bring in rookies and think they can have a big impact right away. And maybe they will. They better. Because the defense is nowhere near what it was a month ago. Nowhere near it. They lost.
Do you think they take a step back?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, a big step back. Attitude and talent. But it's still a work in progress. You haven't gotten to the draft yet. Howie had this quote where he went, "Don't judge me until the whole process is done, because we're going to be doing some things later that will fill the holes." Well, that's fine. But you got $22 million extra under the cap this year. The cap went way up, and you didn't spend it. So what are you? You're worried about what you're going to have to pay these other guys 2 or 3 years from now? You got a Super Bowl roster. Be careful about how much of that you let go. I think he let too much. I wouldn't have done what he did.
Do you think the owner was involved in this, where you're saying, because again, like you said, I mean, here's what's missing for me too. Like you said, with Oren Burks and Isaiah Rodgers, those guys were the war of attrition guys. When you had guys go down like Slay, you had a swing corner in Isaiah Rodgers. They didn't go to Keely Ringo. Right. They went to Isaiah Rodgers, who you let go for a decent deal in Minnesota that you could have brought back. Oren Burks played outstanding football. He was your swing linebacker that you had in the playoffs, and you barely saw any drop off. And again, who's taking over for Moro Ojomo? Because he was the swing tackle when Milton came out, or when Jordan Davis came out. You had a lot of depth on that team a year ago. You lost depth, and you lost frontline starters. I mean, 5 of the 11 are gone now on that side of the ball. And as you said with BG, you also lose that dynamic in that locker room. I mean, Carter's had issues on the sidelines with coaches. I mean, is he really going to be an emotional leader? I don't know if I want to put that in there. I mean, so again, how much do you think that this is an organizational decision that they were saving money this year? Because this looks like to me they're saving money.
Well, they're saving money, but they've never really been that. They've not been a cheap organization. So I don't know. I really think it's a philosophical decision made by Howie with input from Jeff Lurie for sure. But I really think Howie looked at what happened the last time, where the team went to 9-7 and then out of the playoffs, and they ended up losing Doug Peterson. I think it's a course correction that went too far. That's what I think. I think that there had to be a way. You just sucked it up. I mean, I know why Gardner-Johnson's not here, because Oh, that stupid sweatshirt. That was bad. That alienated a ton of people. About Taylor Swift and the Swifties, and then he gave these. He did these interviews after they won.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they were gutter. They were just profanity laced. They were, and that's not the image the Eagles want to project. I understand that, but that mentality also translates into aggression on the field, which was one of the things that made them so good defensively this year. And they're going to miss him. They're going to miss him. They're going to miss Slay's leadership. If not, he's 34. He's on the back end of it. And what they did, the strategy, it was fascinating what Howie did. So Howie took Becton last year, who was a first-round bust with the Jets, and he brought him into his team, and he turned into a hell of a player, right? They lost him. They hit him the 1 year. Now they thought, so Howie went, wow, that worked. I'm going to do that with a bunch of guys. And they brought in a lot of busts this year, 3 or 4 big busts. This kid Jackson, the cornerback from the Giants, right? He didn't amount to much of anything. The pass rusher, Joshua Uche. I don't even, since I left the year, I don't know how to pronounce any names anymore. AJ Dillon, I guess he's a reclamation project. They brought him in and went, once they come here, they'll be really good because they got talent. That doesn't always work. It worked with Becton, and Becton took the money and ran. And, I wouldn't want to be the one to tell Saquon Barkley that Becton's not going to be there blowing holes open for him like he did this past year, because Becton was a hell of a run blocker, really good run blocker, and he's gone. They made a lot of moves. Oh, and the Kenyon Green was the other guy.
Yeah.
The Kenyon Green,
15th pick bust.
He's ranked the worst lineman in the NFL this year. And he's going to be brought in to replace Becton. Now, look, Jeff Stoutland is a great offensive line coach, but he is not Merlin the magician. Not going to work every time, right? Well, they kind of convinced themselves that once somebody crosses the threshold into Eagle land, they will suddenly become much better again. And I don't know. I hope so, but I doubt it. That doesn't usually happen.
I just asked Marcus Hayes this, and I'm going to ask you this. So with all these decisions that are being made by Howie the Magician here and what he's doing in the offseason here, Nick Sirianni's role, is he a tuba player in the front row, or is he a orchestra leader that they're waiting for the season to start?
Yeah.
Where's his role in all of this, that he's jettisoning players off his football team? Right. So, again, is he a tuba player in the front row, or is he the orchestra leader?
I'm glad this came up. All right. So I'm thinking, I get alerts when the Eagles, when they lose a player or whatever. I'm thinking that's how Sirianni found out. He went, oh, geez, wow.
A notification. Wait a minute. He finds out his players are leaving through notifications on his phone.
You think they consulted him? Do you really think they asked him?
No.
You think they went, hey, how do
you
you feel about losing Kenneth Gainwell?
No.
You didn't ask him. They didn't ask him. I guarantee you they didn't ask him. They just, Howie right now, he's Teflon. I'm telling you, in this city, I cannot tell you one time in the history of sports in our town where a guy was unable to be criticized. I mean, seriously, you can't say a negative word about Howie Roseman. You could listen to WIP. You could read every sports thing written in every major publication. You will never hear a bad word said about Howie, nor will you question anything Howie said. Well, I'm sorry, not me. That's not the way I did it. I think he's having a bad offseason, and I think I broke it down, and I think he's having a bad offseason, and he's doing it for the wrong reason, because he's course correctioning from 7 years ago, and this is going to bite him in the ass.
You think this is one of the reasons why they don't really have year to year, like every year that I've been covering it now, it's going almost 5 years in April now, is that 1 year it's this way, next year it's great. Year after that, it's bad. Year after that, it's great. It's because it's unsustainable success. But if you think about it over an 8-year period, and they must look at it in long term and not really short term, because they're not going to. That's not a back-to-back looking roster to me right now. I don't see. I mean, I see Washington. I see the Rams. I see Detroit. I see those teams have closed the gap. Now we'll find out come September what that gap is when the players get on the field. But I don't know, man. I mean, he closed the chains, you know, and he closed them down a little bit, and he pulled his competition closer, I think, this offseason.
Well, the people that are supporting him, which is pretty much everyone, are saying
including the fan base, Angelo.
Well, the fan base, it's a murmur right now. Everybody's still got their championship hats on and stuff. Philadelphia, when you win a championship in Philadelphia, you don't get them that often. They have a lasting power over the people. But there's a murmur. And because I'm getting it on my email going, what the hell's Howie doing? Well, does he realize he's got a great team? The people that are supporting him are going, he's still got the basis, the foundation of a great team. He's got that offensive line minus Becton. He's got Barkley. He's got Hurts. He's got the great receivers. Although I keep getting nervous about A.J. Brown. All right? If they ever trade A.J. Brown, I'm done. You understand?
I showed you that.
I will. You did. Now, if that actually were to happen, I'm prepared to come on your show and predict a 5-win season. I'm bound to be right sometime, Dan. No, they better not screw with A.J. Brown. That's all. I know there's been a ton of rumors. That would be the straw that broke the camel's back for me. But I don't think. They have a basis of a really good team. They just won the championship. They should be adding to it, not subtracting all this. Not when there's enough money under the cap to do stuff, and they didn't do it. None of these guys they brought in, with the exception of Bourne, who deserved it, none of these guys, and Barkley got an extension, none of these guys cost anything.
No.
They're way lower in their salary right now than they were a year ago. They're a champion. A champion never has a lower salary. I mean, when they win, the money goes up. You got to pay it.
No, he was chopping at TJ Maxx. How he was. I mean,
I don't have a good feeling. I'm sorry, but I really do. So don't take it for what it's worth.
All right, a couple last ones here for you. Since last week, we couldn't do anything with Embiid because he's getting extended. He's going to make $700 trillion. How much do we take of Daryl Morey as the general man? I mean, you think that guy survives this year? I mean,
well, if he had an owner,
Ellen Brand might have been better than this guy.
Well, if you had an owner that knew anything about the sport, you would know what a terrible job that Daryl Morey has done. There's been speculation the last few days that maybe they're going to get rid of Paul George. And I'm laughing and going, who the hell is going to take him? He gets hurt more than Embiid and more than Kobe Dean put together. The guy hurt he had a pinky. He was out a month with a freaking pinky, right? He doesn't want to play anymore. He doesn't want to play. They're trying to lose. Maxey is not coming back because they want to build up a chance to not have to give up a top 6 pick first round. So they're trying to make sure they tank again. And they even won a game in Dallas yesterday because Dallas tanks better than they do.
Get that lineup. You see, that may have been the worst Sixer lineup ever rolled out in the history of Philadelphia Sixer basketball.
And they won. Dallas is better at tanking. And I'm telling you, the only way the Sixers can assure themselves of getting one of those top 6 picks is to bring back Brett Brown, because no one in the history of Philadelphia sports was better at losing than that moron, that horrible coach. Bring back Brett Brown.
I'm going to bring this last thing up here, folks. This is why he won't say it, but I will. You never replace the guy like this. You replace the guy that replaced the guy that you take the job for. I think you're finding that out at Nova right now with Jay Wright, okay, what went down there. I mean, maybe you don't get Rick Pitino, but how about his kid going in there and maybe taking that job? Because don't you think they need kind of like a Hurley type of dude to go in there, deal with Nil, to get Nova hoop? Because correct me if I'm wrong, from Rolly, it went to like Lapa, who was kind of decent, but then it went to Jay when you started winning championships. I mean, you talk about one of the greatest East Coast college basketball programs there is. It's Villanova. I mean, are they going to go through another dark period where, again, you see down basketball there?
The only reason it wasn't a much longer dark period since Massimino left was that Jay Wright was great.
Yeah.
I mean, there's good and then there's great. And Jay Wright was great. And the problem is people assume that it's like what the Eagles are doing right now. Oh, as long as you have Jeff Stoutland there, we'll teach them to be as good. Well, Kyle Neptune did not. He worked with Jay Wright, and he wasn't anywhere near Jay Wright in recruiting or coaching. He wasn't close to. That's a different world now at NIL, but still. And the fact is that it's almost impossible. You see what's going on in St. John's right now. Rick Pitino.
Yeah.
Rick Pitino's the reason.
Community, New York City's buying into what Rick's doing.
Yes.
Going back to Carnesecca, doing all that old school stuff. That they're buying into it again.
Exactly. Pitino is proving that you could do it in this new era.
Yeah.
If you're a great coach who knows how to run a winning program. And Kyle Neptune, this is why I never liked bringing in a guy like Sirianni, for example, who had no track record of doing anything great. And then you said, all right, do it great here. Now, Sirianni won a championship. I'm still not convinced he knows what he's doing. The bottom line is that I like a guy who already won somewhere. I like a guy who proved he could do it. Now do it for me. And one last thing I just got to say it there, because Kyle Neptune was one of the people who I'm sure helped Jay Wright to be as good as he was on a recruiting trail. I had a guy on my show who is leaving on Thursday, and I just want to acknowledge him. He was our producer for pretty much the whole time I was there. Guy's name is Joe Wechter, and he's leaving WIP after 38 years on Thursday. And I wouldn't have been successful without him. It's that simple. I know you got great people who you work with, and we are in front of it. We get the credit. We get the blame. In his case, I didn't know anything about radio. He taught me a lot about radio. And sometimes you are only as good as the people you surround yourself with. And I was lucky enough to have that guy for 38 years, and I wish him a great retirement.
Let me tell you something about those kind of guys.
Right.
Watch this. I'm going to do it, Angel. Tell me if you've done this. I'm not reading that. That ain't working for me, okay? I haven't been told. And then here's the producer on the other side. Dan, listen, we have to get this here. We have to get this. You got a guest coming up in 40 minutes. Let's get this. We'll talk about it after the program. Fine. Read the whole thing. You do this. Those are the people that kind of keep you on the rails from going off into the reservation where you don't want to go. And the magic dump button, when you say something maybe that you think is a little sideways, that guy is the guy. See what you had, I didn't have?
No.
You had a guy that went, no, I'm going to atomic bomb that thing right there. We're not doing that right there. Those are great producers.
I totally forgot about that. 33 years. I said the F word once, and it got on. He was on a call. 10 other times, he saved me with the wrong word, usually the F-bomb, but other stuff too. And I would go, I would be sweating. We'd go to break, and I go, Joe, did you get that? I got it. You know, those guys, they are worth a lot more than they ever get paid. God bless those people.
Oh my God. And when you get a guy there too, I'm in here talking, and I didn't realize, instead of pushing the back talk button, I have the on air, and I'm on a Shane spot. That MF and Bonds, he's doing it. That guy, and the guy goes, "You're on the air." I go, "Oh my God, it's a $43,000 Shane spot." And the guy goes, "Don't worry, I dumped it." I'm going, "Oh, man." I go, hey, I tell you what, when you're a talk show host, especially in the morning, because Angelo and I are like vampires, that sphincter muscle gets a little tight when you start doing stuff. What?
Let me tell you, Dan, I'm starting with Tom Brookshire, and I don't know anything about radio. Tom Brookshire, 25 years CBS guy. And I'm about to take over for him full time. He's leaving. And he points to the microphone, and he says, "You see that right there? That's a loaded gun.
It is.
And it's pointed right at your head. Be careful." He was right. He was right.
Hey, absolutely. I got one last thing here. So I got to tell you what Marcus said at the end of our at the beginning. He goes like this to me. He goes, "Listen," I said, "Yeah, I've been exiled." He goes, "Well, you know, self-inflicted, right?" I go, "Oh yeah, stupid. I mean, you're on the air 38 years like me, 32 years, whatever it is. You're going to say stupid shit. Me, I'm totally stupid. So I'll say anything dumb." And so he goes like, "But I got to tell you, your exile's over as far as I'm concerned."
Wow.
"You're awesome. And I really got to tell you, that was really cool." He goes, "As far as I'm concerned, I like you a lot, and I enjoy you, and I'm going to have you on numerous times whenever I'm on." And he goes, "Your exile in my eyes are over with, because I could see who you are."
Wow. I hope it is. It should be, because they are always looking for great guests, and nobody knows more football than Dan. Dan, you're number one, man.
Thank you. Angelo, thank you, my friend. Again, I appreciate you so much. Have a great one. By the way, tell the folks about the blog, what you're writing about this week.
It's out. It's AngeloCataldi.com. Check it out. Just click on blogs. I got something every week. And unlike many, I give my honest opinion because I don't want friends.
So that means you didn't send a birthday card yesterday to Joel Embiid. Just checking. All right.
It's in the mail. See you,
Angelo, thank you, my friend. All right. Angelo Cataldi. We appreciate that. So Marcus and Angelo. I feel like the Pope just came in and went like this: "I absolve you. I absolve you. Big Sills, I absolve you." Didn't you feel it? I feel it. "I absolve you, Sills." Yeah. Oh, my God. Look. Hey, so I am relaxed. Can you tell? How you doing? I'm relaxed. It's all good. Sells Howie's 2025 roster tune-up. Holds off any inevitable dead cap money rebuild. True. Howie flushed all the fluids, changed the filters and the plugs, and got rotated in the tires. Engine is still strong. Yeah. All right. Blowtorch to that defense. All right. We're going to take a timeout. Then we're going to get to our boy Xander Krause here too. How about this? Marcus Hayes, Angelo Cataldi, and then Xander Krause. You know what I like about that? The old established farts and then the new kid. I dig that. Very good. All right. Make sure you hit that like button. Give me a total on the likes. And don't forget our great friends at BetUS. You get the NC2A tournament. Rocking and rolling. I actually am like Xander. I like the NC2A tournament. I think it's either going to be Duke or Houston this year that's going to win the national championship in college basketball. So you get a chance to go out and make your bets. It's our partner with BetUS. Make sure you sign up for the YouTube 150. Sign-up bonuses up to $2K. Your second and third are 125%. Go to betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa. Fastest payouts in the business, 24/7 personalized service, 365 days of the year. Live wagering on all major games. Go to betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa. And do me a favor, you tell them Big Sil sent you.
This is Eric. When he got injured in a car accident, he called Morgan & Morgan. He not only gets a lawyer, he gets trial lawyers like Sam and Jessica who are in it to win it. He gets his own investigators with briefcases, leather ones. And if you ever have questions, our customer service folks keep things rolling. Injured? We're your army. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Ignite your nights with free live entertainment daily, only at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia's Center Bar. 7 days a week, enjoy some of the region's top party bands, performers, and DJs as they take the stage in the heart of the casino action. Great cocktails, live music, and lively moments. It's all happening at Center Bar at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia. Visit livecasinophilly.com for more details and the complete list of upcoming events. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Your financial future is on the line. Are you ready for what's next? At Leone & Company Wealth Management, we help young professionals, business owners, and pre-retirees navigate the complexities of building and protecting wealth. For young professionals, we'll help you grow your wealth, plan for your future, and make the most of your hard-earned dollars. For business owners, we provide strategies to protect your company, manage risks, and create a lasting legacy for both your business and personal wealth. For pre-retirees, we'll design a plan to secure your retirement, ensuring you can live comfortably and confidently in your next chapter. Whether you're just starting out, managing a thriving business, or preparing for retirement, we're here to help you take control of your financial future. The first consultation is on us. Get the advice you need without the cost. Let's make your financial vision a reality. Take the next step. Scan the QR code to schedule your free consultation today. And of course, go Birds.
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong as the #1 health insurer in the region. No IBX is always looking out for you.
EAGLES, Eagles.
This day's just getting better. Big Sil's National Football Show. I think Marcus wants to do a story on us. Should I do it? I think Marcus wants to do a story on us in the Philadelphia Inquirer. My wife will hate this. Ugh. I have to think about it. I'll have to think about it. The pink unicorn, Daz. Is that what you're saying? Hit the damn like button. Look at I know two people who do not want me to do a story. It would be my wife and my aunt. They never pan out. I have a good feeling about this, though. Okay? You better do it. Yeah, Sills. Get more attention on JAKIB. Now, that is something to think about. Oh. I hate the media. And I'm in it. I think it would be awesome for you and JAKIB Media. Yeah. By the way, please hit the like button. Let's see if we can get it over 250. Control the narrative, Sills. Get the hell up here. Writing. What are you writing me notes? You guys writing me love letters here. Ask Stevie. Yeah, that's a good one. I should ask Stevie on that. Should I let Marcus Hayes write a story on Big Cells and him climbing out of exile? Okay. I don't know. All right, I'll send it back. Yes. Be an honor. Okay. So he'll get me on Wednesday. Today's the Irish Day, right? See, I'm more of a Columbus Day guy. I don't eat potatoes. Big Sills. Sills, you always put things in perspective. Okay. With that being said, all these bums. Joshua Uche Acho Uma. Xander upside. Great 40. He's the next coming of Lawrence Taylor. Hey, we had a different of opinion, though. Marcus doesn't think it's much damage. And Angelo thinks it's a ton of damage. Oh, real quick, before I get to Xander here, these guys will thank Xander and all Eagle fans. Thank you for the $26 million annual contract I just signed. Milton Williams, Josh Sweat, thank you for the $19 million annual deal that I just signed. Becton, thank you for the $10 million deal I just signed. Isaiah Rodgers, thank you for the $7 million deal I just signed. And Slade, thank you for the 1-year, $10 million deal. Holy shit. They made these guys all money elsewhere. All right, with all that being said, without further ado, guys do a great job. They had a massive week last week, too. The guys on Birds 365 giving you blow by blow for the Adoree Jacksons of the world and for the Dorian Thompson Robinsons of the world, the AJ Dillons. This guy over here, Lucchese, Lukin, Valentina Voslati, OT, I don't know. Emilio Acho, and Ochian Mathis. I don't even know how to say their names. With all that being said, our boy, Big Z, Xander Krause.
What's up, Big Sills?
You think I should do this thing?
I don't know, man. It's up to you, brother. But I will say, if maybe something we should talk about off the air too. But a lot of different ways to look at that thing.
It is. I'm not something that's positive and negative.
Yeah, I'm just saying, when they write the positive, it's going to be preceded by,
Oh yeah,
I don't know. You know what I mean? So I know the way Marcus writes. I like Marcus a lot. The one thing I like about it, and Jacob's been struggles with this as well, is if you let everybody else tell your story, which is really what's happened up to this point outside of the people who listen to you. If you let everybody else tell your story, you never have a chance to dictate and tell the people who want to hear from you your side of the story.
I've never been able to.
Yeah, from that perspective, I like it. But you also have this show to tell your story, which I think you've done for the last 5 years. So, but up to you. I think we talk about that a little off the air.
Here's when you write a story on Big Sills: the good, the bad, and the ugly. That's okay. You got to remember those three things all fit. Okay. The good, the bad, the ugly. But I really liked what Marcus said, man. Were you shocked that he had me on WIP?
I wasn't shocked that Marcus did, because I could tell that Marcus liked you when he came on your program. And Marcus is the kind of guy where he's not, like you said, he's not going to go and ask for permission. But I'm pretty excited for you. I mean, I keep telling you, Sills, be patient, be patient. And before we know it, listen, I get a lot of comments about Big Sills, all right? Whether people love you or they hate you, I'll tell you what. They listen to you. They know what you're saying. They know what your takes are. I even people, I never listen to Sileo. Well, how'd you know he predicted 9 wins then? Because you listened to him. You know what I mean? So hang in there, Sills, and keep grinding. The voice of Philadelphia could just be Dan Sileo.
How about this? Angelo called me the secret, and Marcus called me the unicorn A sports talk.
Ooh,
So I
did we
guess
just
they
get a
signed
sports-
somebody. Who'd they sign? What was this? Holy cow. Look at this.
Azeez Ojulari. Is that who it is?
Yeah.
Wow, 1 year, $4 million. What 6 sacks last year? He was on the
Not
Giants.
bad. Not bad.
This is the guy that we wanted earlier. All right, so we got Azeez Ojulari. I like it. Boy, we've been talking about him on Birds 365 for weeks. Weeks.
I don't
Who's a
mind it.
listener on Birds? How many weeks have we been talking about Azeez Ojulari as a potential option? He's better than he's
Uche
better.
Macho.
Yeah, he's gonna have more potential than
Now remember
And that
something. He
Uche
plays in a
Macho.
rotation. Remember,
I
though,
like
he,
it.
he played in a rotation though with Kayvon Thibodeau and with what's his name on the other side too. So remember that he's not an every down starter guy, and they've got like 3 of them dudes on the roster right now. They need a 3-down edge guy, Xander. They got a bunch of guys that look the same. Now that makes me think that's a Vic move too, because they all look alike, don't they? I mean, their style of play all look alike. The guys that they got at the edge. There's not really a big dude that they have on the roster. Who's the biggest dude they have on the roster right now?
Yeah. On
That
defense,
Joshua kid?
yeah, on defense, you mean tallest? I mean, you got
Yeah.
Carter, obviously Davis. Davis is big boy, but you're right. I mean, the edge, it's certainly off the edge. They don't have very big guys. I mean, you got Uche, you got Nolan, you got Bryce Huff is honestly your Brandon Graham type.
Yeah.
He's your biggest stout body guy, I think.
This guy was productive last year, man. I mean, he was a good ball player last year.
Yeah,
He's a
he's
good,
all right.
but again, I mean, this
He's
is
24
the
years old, and I'm just saying, he's 24 years old, and he got $4 million on the open market, as an edge rusher. He hasn't been as good as people wanted him to be, but, he played college ball at University of Georgia, so he's another Georgia guy, obviously. He's from Georgia. He's 6'3", 240, so not huge.
Okay, that's not awful. That's not awful.
No, but that ain't big.
No.
I mean, that's
They're
not big.
very
for
small. They're very small at the edge. Every guy they have on roster is small.
So he played 10 games last year. He got hurt in his 11th game, I think. Let me look.
And he had 6 sacks. He had 6 sacks last year in 10 games.
Let me see. I'm pulling up the stats. Let's pull them up. Let's pull them up for the people. 2024, 11 games, 5 games started, and he had 6 sacks. Yeah.
That could be misleading. I'm going to have to go back and watch him.
Yep. I'm with you.
I got it.
28 tackles, though. I mean, he had a decent season. 7 tackle for losses.
Do you remember him in the Eagle games?
10 QB hits, and he played in 10 games. If he got hurt in his 11th game,
it's productive.
That's pretty productive.
Yeah. Yep. Do you remember him in any of the Eagle? Do you remember him in any of the Eagle games?
I'm sure he has moments against us.
I
don't remember him like off the top of my head, but to be honest with you,
I remember him in
the New York Giants are not particularly a team we've played in recent years where they have a lot of head turners. So I can't really say. He's a Georgia guy. He is a Georgia guy. 58% of the snaps, pretty good. 6 sacks in 11 games. It was really probably 10 too, because he probably got hurt in that 11th game.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that 11th game that he got hurt, he had 12 snaps.
So he
got hurt early in the game.
Yeah.
No. Because the game before that, he had 52 snaps, 58 and 60, and 55. So my point is he got hurt early in that 11th game. So he really played 10 games. He's got, let's see.
That's not awful.
He did have a sack versus the Eagles last year. They lost 28-3.
Okay. Well, I mean, they were terrible on defense, but
they were terrible. But he did have a sack, so that's his game log right there.
All right. Let me ask you this then. And I'll ask you that I asked Marcus and Angelo. How much damage do you think has been done in free agency with the exits to the roster?
A lot. I mean, a lot. There's no doubt about it. I think I'm almost at a point where I'm not out at all. Like people are like, you have to talk about the losses, obviously, that we've had. They've lost a lot of the championship defense. I think they're going to be able to get back to form. It might not happen right away because they're probably going to rely on a lot of young guys again. And by the way, your overall defense now is just super young guys. You lost a lot of guys there. And I think if you're going to go the distance this year, it's going to be your offense is going to have to win you more games this year than they had to last year. That's not to say they weren't good last year. The way the team was built last year, you had the best defense in football, and they won you a lot of games. All right, so going forward, if your defense got a little bit gutted because of the way the contracts are structured, because of what they have upcoming, that's good. That's fine. But that means the offense is going to have to carry the weight. And I think that's going to come down to Jalen and the passing game, and the offense is going to have to be more productive. They're going to have to score more points, and I don't have a problem with that. But it's definitely, the team is definitely built different now than they were the way they won the Super Bowl a month and a half ago.
Loss of Becton means what to you?
I might be spoiled.
Did you hear what I said earlier? Look, there's one unit on a football team that all 5 guys have to play well for a play to be successful. One guy messes up, Xander, the play's ruined. On defense, you can have 3 guys blocked, one guy make a play in the backfield. You don't really have to be in sequence on defense in your front 4 to be a great unit. You can have a playmaking guy. Now, to the point, the right guard position has been the biggest turnover position of any position on the Eagles next to wide receiver 3. Those 2 have been interchangeable positions since I've been covering you guys. So how much of a loss is it? I don't know, man. That guy I saw great highlight reels. I also seen the guy with quick dudes get beat on a big speed move. If you've got a guy in there who can get around in a speed move, he struggles a tad bit with that because he's so freaking big. But I thought he was better than he was bad last year. Like, to me, I thought he was, if I were to tell, look, I love Brian Baldinger. Always have, always will. He's a boy of mine. However, call him the best guard in football last year is insane. He was probably somewhere in the
No, he wasn't the best guard on the Eagles. He was not the best guard in football.
Well, that guy's pretty hard to beat. That guy over there, Landon Dickerson. Okay?
Yeah, he is.
That guy's a superstar player. And so, but I would say that he was in the top 10 in performers at guard last year. I mean, I don't have a problem saying that, but top 5? No, he ain't that. So maybe
he might have been top 10 because he was on the Eagles and we were a running team. He was really good in the running game.
Dude, you're playing in between Jurgens and Lane. I mean, okay, you're right.
So look, look, here's the thing. I'm super pumped for Mekhi Becton, and I'm appreciative. And I did feel like he connected with the city well. I felt like he was always appreciative of the city, the fans, the opportunity, and everything that came with playing here. I love him. I'm pumped for him, but I don't think our operation revolved around him. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, we can't be a good football team next year because add Mekhi Becton to the list. Is it another loss, another hole, another question mark going into the season? Yes, it is. Is it something that we've answered time and time and time again in the last 5 years of football in Eagles land? Yes, we have. We have Stoutland. We have reinforcements coming on the offensive line. They'll probably use another draft pick on a guy. I'm not sweating it. I'm really not sweating it. But look, I'm pumped for him. You know, the Eagles, from my estimation, from what I've talked to John about, is they really didn't want to go to a second year with him. So they basically wanted to do another 1-year deal with him, which basically would tell me they're probably not feeling too good about those knee injuries that he has. So the fact that he's 25 years old and just played that good this year and only got a 2-year deal as an offensive lineman probably tells you all you need to know about Mekhi Becton, that there's some stuff behind the scenes that's a little bit alarming for people. But overall, I feel like you're in a good spot to prevail. But let me tell you this. I don't think Tyler Steen, I don't think Trevor Keegan, and I don't think Kenyon Green are either one of them, whoever wins the job, if those are the 3 that are vying for it. I don't think either one of them are going to be close to Mekhi Becton. Now, can you overcome that? Yes, I do. But I don't think they're going to be what Mekhi Becton was. So you don't replace 6'8", 380 or whatever he was that easily. He was a great player, and he was big size and physicality that you had on the offense that I don't think you can replace, but I think you'll be all right without it.
Who told you about the money and the length of the contract that tells you all you need to know about Becton? Because whoever told you that is a very smart individual, because the money and the distance or the length of 2 years and only 10 million tells you that there must be some significant scar damage in his knees, and that that is a physical kind of thing where, like, when you take a physical and you take your exit physical and you see how much scar tissue's on them knees. That's why, because a guy like that, I would have thought have been north of 13 million. We've seen other guys that had lesser years this past year sign for more money than what he got. And for them to give him only 2 years and 10 million, not that that's bad, because he signed for 3.5 on a 1-year deal with the Eagles. But that tells you all you need to know, that for the Eagles, they had concerns over his physical and him passing physicals because, and dude, playing 17 ball games was probably an issue for them on what they look for that, I mean,
well, and he did. There was moments when he came out last year, but look, I by the way, nobody told me that. I just was thinking that. I mean, look, that's the thing you think with, but that's the thing you think with all these people, right? I mean, and it's not
absolutely starts with physical.
Look, we did have some of these guys hit. Like, look at Zach Bond, look at Becton for us last year. So it's not to say that all these, none of these darts can hit, but that's what we're doing right now. Like, even our newest signing here in Azeez Ojulari, I like him a lot. He had 8 sacks his rookie year, 6 sacks in 10 and a half games last year. I think he's got potential. But why is a 24-year-old on the open market as an edge rusher getting $4 million on the second week of free agency? Again, it's a dart. It's not the highest risk move you're taking, but I'm just saying it's not like a guarantee that these guys are going to be great football players. There's a reason for all those things. So I will say that's probably the biggest red flag on Ojulari, right? I mean, $4 million for a 24-year-old edge on the open market is pretty wild. You know
what that tells me? He's not a 3-down player.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to look. Let me see if I can get some information on him. I'm going to do it. I'm definitely going to do a football 24/7 tonight with John McMullen.
But here's the deal: even if you see numbers, they were on a 3-win team, so those numbers are going to be misleading. What was he doing? Making tackles 15 yards down the field?
That's true. That's why you have to go back and look at the film, which I will do on.
That's right. That's a film deal right there for you. All right,
because you know what? Here's the thing too. People dismiss that. All right, and I remember when we signed Bryce Huff. All right, and I went and watched the film. I did that. I went and watched the film because remember Bryce Huff when he got signed, 10 sacks in a limited role or whatever it was from the Jets, and I'm like, all right, let me go look at these sacks. He had like 4 sacks on backups, 4 that were on plays that didn't matter. Like it was all, and I said that to John, and I'm like,
he had 400 snaps.
The pressure rate's good, the win percentage rate's good, and I'm like, all right, that's all fine and dandy, but it did turn out to be kind of true, where not all sacks are created equal, and not all pressures are created equal either. Depending on what the offensive line's doing, but depending on what adjustments, what moves, what motions, what formations everybody's in. So you got to go and look at it, and I will do that on Azeez. I'm looking at some of the numbers here just to give you guys a little career highlights on him. He is a Georgia Bulldog, all right? So another Georgia Bulldog. He was a second-round draft pick, 50th overall in that 2021 draft by the Giants. So pedigree player a little bit, second-rounder. He set the Giants rookie sack record with 8 sacks in 2021.
So
5.5 sacks.
He's got 2 years where he's had 6 and 8, and he's 24.
He had 8 his rookie year. Yep. Then he had 5.5 his second year because he missed time with injury. And then he had, I think he went way down and had 2.5, and then he had 6 last year. Now let me get the story on 23. Why did he have 2.5 in 23? 2.5, he was just a rotation player, it looks like, in 23. So I'd have to get the more story on that. And then last year, 6 sacks, 7 tackles for loss, and 10 QB hits in 10.5 games. 58% he played 58% of the snaps before he got injured. So that's pretty good. But he's had some injury challenges. I mean, 22 and 24. And let me look at how many games he played in 23.
Did he come into the league the same time Nolan Smith did?
23, he missed a lot of games too.
Did he come into the league?
No. He was before Nolan Smith. Nolan Smith was drafted after the 22 season, right? And 23 and 24 were his first 2 years. So he was drafted a whole 2 seasons prior.
Okay.
So
All right.
he was drafted in that 21 draft right before the 21
That's
season.
awful young, though. 24.
24 years old. Yeah, he's 24 years old.
He's got 4 years in already.
Yeah,
That's
1 year, $4 million deal. And we'll see. By the way, we'll see what the guaranteed money is on it. You know, it might be better than that.
Remember, all the stuff that initially comes out is full of shit.
Yeah,
because those are the agents putting that out to the media. You'll find out from the PA what that is. By the way, all super chats will be read at the end of the segment. All right, that's good.
Remember, I got to run a little earlier today because I got that show coming up now tonight. I didn't know, and I had to produce all your great segments today.
Okay, listen, we'll do 2 more then here for you.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this, Ander? Grant Calcaterra, Keelan Granson, Harrison Bryant as your tight end room. How you feeling about that, Junior?
I don't feel good about that at all. But part of me is also going to say this. If the Eagles are in a position that they would know more than me that they need to move on from Goddard and they're not willing to give him more guaranteed money, because I think he wants a longer-term contract. It's his last time to cut, you know. So it's the last time to cash in probably for a long-term deal. So they're probably going to cut him, trade him if they can get anything for him. Does it stink? Yes. Are you going to get better there? No way. But this offense got to prevail. Like, I don't want to hear it. I'm sorry. I don't want to hear it. I really don't. And I know you're getting worse, but championship teams prevail. Patrick Mahomes got rid of Tyreek Hill and became better. Like, you have to, if you want to be, it's one thing to win one championship, which we just did. If you want to talk about a dynasty, if you want to talk about winning multiple rings in a set period of time, you have to be able to overcome adversity. This isn't the adversity I would have chosen as the general manager, but I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, we're not going to win it this year because Goddard's gone. You have AJ Brown, you have Devontae Smith, you have Saquon Barkley, you got Lane Johnson, Landon Dickerson, Jordan Mailata, Cam Jurgens. Like, I don't really want to hear it. You know, like, it's a hit. This offense still has plenty of stuff in the chamber to go out there and be a high-powered offense, and I think they will do that. But it's a hit for sure. I mean, you're going to open up another gap on the roster there, so not ideal, but they must really be crunching this cap, though, man, because they're getting rid of CJ, getting rid of Goddard. These are moves that you didn't think they were going to make this offseason that they're making, so they're signaling something. They're trying to get cheaper right now for sure.
I'm telling you, before you read the supers, do you agree? They're going to pay Jurgens $20 million annually, and then they're going to pay in the offseason. Get this. Wait a minute. What they may be setting you up for is this. They may be going to pay Jurgens $20 million, and it sounds to me now that they're going to extend Jordan Davis.
Well, it looks like
Don't you think that's what they're freeing money up for here?
I mean, if they're but some of the I don't know about freeing money up for him, dog. They got to pay Jalen Carter next year. Have you seen the deals that have been breaking in the NFL?
No.
Jamar Chase got $40 million. I'm just saying. I think
they're going to get ahead of it. They want to get ahead of these deals so they can have
I don't love Jordan Davis, but if you're talking about $10 million for a defensive tackle,
I've warmed up to that.
Like, that is bargain money in today's day and age. So, I mean, if you can get him for another couple of years at that price, I think it probably makes sense. But they're freeing money up for Jalen Carter, dog. He's about to get $40 million a year with well over $100 million guaranteed. So they're going to have to put that money in escrow. That's what they're getting ready for.
Absolutely. And if you're Devontae Smith, man, Hunter Biden must have cut your contract because I mean, Jesus Christ. You see the money they're throwing around to T. Higgins?
T. Higgins getting $30 million. Guys, I like T. Higgins. Are you kidding me?
They're giving a number 2 $30 million. That's $5 million cheaper.
And he's not even better than Smitty. I'm sorry. Nobody can tell me otherwise. I like Devontae Smith as a wide receiver 2 over him all day and twice on Sunday.
Man, you talk about a ton of money, though. Over 6 years, you put $5 a year on the table. Dude, hey, good for the Eagles. They put it out there. He signed it. That's on him, not Philly. Philly puts a deal out. You sign it. That's you and your agent. So, I mean, nothing with the team, man. Man, that kid wants to go back. Dude, by the time next year hits, he'll be the top 20th highest paid player. God knows what the kid's career is going to look like because it's been a great so far. Let's do some of the super so I can get you out of here.
Yeah, let's do it. We'll be doing breaking news tonight, by the way. It's football 24/7 around 6 p.m. with John, so everybody should tune into that. For those who are looking for the update on Azeez Ojulari, the newest Philadelphia
Azeez Ojulari and Emmanuel Uche, man.
Well, think about it. Now you have Nolan, you have Bryce, you have Jalix. No, listen to what I'm saying. I'm not saying about the how good they are. I'm saying Nolan, Bryce, Jalix, Uche, Ojulari. Who am I leaving out? Patrick John. You're already up to 6 edge rushers. So not all these guys are making the roster.
No.
Uche could not even make it. All right. He could be gone.
No.
Illuminati says the Giants are officially Philly's farm system. I don't know about
that. Dude, the Giants used to be a great franchise. Now, seriously, man, Rutgers has better talent.
Mikey Shreds checks in. What's up? Ojulari signed to Eagles. 1 year is $4 million. We got it, bro. Appreciate it. Brian Pumper, just when I thought Howie got me all the way out, he pulls me right back in. Howie season. I forgive my Howard for signing Joshua O'Shanahan. Korsky says that Ojulari just signed with the Eagles. Yes, he did. Q Ball is our breaking news guy. Q, appreciate it. Eagles signed Azeez Ojulari, another edge. Yeah, we're loading up that edge room. Brian Pumper. We got this, right? Sileo always put things in perspective. With that being said, tell all these bums that Joshua Uche is not the next coming of Lawrence Taylor.
Emmanuel Uche. Oh my God. What time are you and John out? I'm gonna have to chime in on that. By the way, hey, all those hats that you're gonna
dog, stay in your lane, bro. You don't need to chime in. All right, you don't need to chime in.
Hold on here. No, I wanted one of those hats Angelo was talking about. Everyone wearing them soup. Hey, shit. Those things are collector's items already, man. Them hats.
What? I got a couple of them.
They're already collector's items.
Wait. Did you tell the people I got a basket full of stuff?
He's got an Emmanuel Uche.
I got a basket full of Super Bowl merch we're giving away, but here we go. I got 6 Super Bowl hats right here.
Look
7.
at those collector's items already, man. That
That
Super Bowl team's gone.
No, it's not.
How you doing?
You can't take away a team that will live in immortality forever.
Xander's still on the pumpkin float, standing out there in front of City Hall. How you doing?
I am on the pumpkin float. I'm all right with it too. Too negative. What about my super chat, Prince? Did you send a super motherfucker? Yes, you did. Angelo, I thought he read this because it came before me. Sorry, Prince.
Man.
Oh my God, he cries a lot. Angelo is the worst person Sills could have brought onto this show. He's a bitter bitch. Let it go, bro. You're almost close to Jesus. Let it go. Yo, Prince, are you gonna cry about it all the time, bro? Come on, Prince.
It's all right, Prince. You were away for 7 months. Then we got you. We got you out on a furlough.
Yeah.
Xander's like, this guy was away. I know it.
I bailed Prince out. Little do people didn't know. Prince is my actual brother. I had to bail that motherfucker out.
By the way, I dig the green hat today, man. I'm shocked you went Irish, but I get it.
I'm not an Irish guy. You know this, right? I have no Irish in me. There's nothing. My family eats the Italian because my mom's 100% Italian. So, but no, you know what I love about Irish people, Sills? I'll say this, what I love about Irish people. And I know this is a sin for your program. I love the passion of Irish people. I love how passionate they can be. And I have my best friend growing up, high school and college. We were roommates in college. That dude is Irish. Charlie's name is. He could drink beer like no one I've ever. He'll drink a third. He'll drink big sills under the table. I'm telling you, this guy can drink some beer, man. And the Irish people can drink. So I give him credit, but I'm not built like that.
Let me tell you, man, I used to go when I was in high school. I used to go down to the city all the time. And we get on the train and go down to the city about 35 minutes from where we were. So we get down there always on St. Patrick's Day, man. You go to them bars in New York City. Holy cow. We used to have this thing called Brew Burger. And you'd go in there. So get this, Xander. All you had to do was buy a hamburger and your beer's free. So you get this Brew Burger. You walk in there, you get a $3 burger. Shit, you sit around with these pitchers, man. You're getting waxed. I mean, holy cow.
No, I don't drink like that. So back in the Alabama days, I could drink. I don't drink at all now. So if I have one sip of booze, I'm like, woo, I'm a little loopy. So I don't go down that road.
Yeah, man. I used to go down, and it's a great holiday. I'm more of a Columbus Day guy.
Well, it doesn't matter what day it is. If it's not 2 to 6 p.m. Eastern, big sale, and you want to catch big sales, you're going to have to catch big sales and a couple careers.
Oh yeah, I'm surprised last night that what's his name, Marcus got me all good, man, because that was kind of floating on my time where
10:30 Eastern on a Sunday night. I'm like, big sale's going to go on there, boot it up.
Absolutely. Hey, so what do you got going on with John after the program?
I'm trying to work out a time now, but most likely we'll be live at 6 p.m. unless John pushes me back. But we'll be live right after. Breaking news. Azeez Ojulari to fix the number 1 defense, baby. Woo! We'll be live.
Now, this thing looks like the Titanic on defense right now.
No,
Happy St. Patty's Day.
Stop. Howie got some good darts.
Where?
What do you mean?
Let me ask you something real quick before you go. Would you draft Nakobe Dean again?
Yes.
Okay. Would you draft Jordan Davis again?
No. Well, let me explain. I don't sit there and say that Nakobe Dean there wasn't better people. There might be more talented people. There might be people who have been more healthy. But I think one of the reasons we won the Super Bowl last year is because we had the right players. We didn't have all the best players. We had the right players. So now that team is a Super Bowl team. It'd be hard for me to look at any of those draft picks, especially guys that contributed on the season, and say, oh, I wish I draft someone different. And by the way, I'm consistent with this because I used to tell people all the time, I don't regret the Derek Barnett pick. All right. I know there was better players. I know he didn't work out in Philly. I don't regret the pick at all. That guy made a play for us in a Super Bowl championship effort. We only got 2 of those things in franchise history. And before a month ago, we only had 1. So, no, I wouldn't draft anybody over Nakobe Dean. I wouldn't even draft anybody over Jordan Davis. I know. I'm not saying he's the best guy. I'm not saying there wasn't better guys. I'm saying for this team, they were the right people in that moment. Okay? Yeah. If you want to talk about whether, you're ranking the guys in that draft, yeah, I probably wouldn't pick them there. I agree with that. But for this team, they worked, and I liked them, and I wouldn't change them.
Nakobe Wentz. There you go, baby. Here's a guy that helped you. He's Nakobe Wentz. He helped you get to the postseason. Couldn't play.
That's some bullshit, Sills. Nakobe.
Wait a minute. He didn't play in the postseason like Wentz. He helped you during the regular season. Didn't play a lick in the postseason. He's Nakobe Wentz.
Any Eagle fan that hates Carson Wentz is dumb as a box of rocks because you don't hate a quarterback that won a 10 game. I'm not saying you do. I'm saying people, I hate Carson Wentz. Yeah, it ended shitty. We won our first Super Bowl because he played lights out in the first 11 games. Nick Foles was great. Nick Foles wouldn't have led that team from the start to the Super Bowl. Never. Come on. So look, you gotta be a smart fan. All right. Carson Wentz was a big part of leading us to a Super Bowl. Nakobe Dean was an instrumental part of a defense that helped us win a Super Bowl. Same with Jordan Davis. Same with Nolan Smith. Same with all these guys. I love Corey. One of my favorite Eagles of all time is Corey Clement, an undrafted free agent who was a Super Bowl hero who didn't really do much after that. And by the way, I have a great photo with him. He's a local guy from Glassboro. So, look, everybody doesn't have the same career trajectory. Not everybody's guy's going to be a Canton guy or a Hall of Fame guy, but if they contribute on a Super Bowl football team, I got love for him. Josh Sweat, I got love for you, but Nolan Smith is better than you, my friend.
Oh, yeah, okay. See him get that.
I cannot wait for Nolan Smith to have double-digit sacks, and Josh Sweat has 6.
What's it? You see him throw that last shot. 7 of your top 20 tacklers are gone off your defense. All right, Junior. We'll take a look at that one coming up this season, too. Nolan Smith will have a better career, you think, than Josh Sweat.
Nolan Smith will have a better year this year than Josh Sweat. Take it to the bank. I guarantee it. I 100% guarantee that Nolan Smith outproduces Josh Sweat this year. Let's take a bet for the show. We'll track it all year long.
I will come to Philadelphia.
We're not doing anything. I don't trust you. When you break a man's trust. Fool me once.
I'm 1 for 1.
Once. Shame on you.
Wait.
Fool me twice. Shame on me. I'm not letting it happen.
Wait. I'm 1 for 1.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
You're shooting 50% from the field, and the only reason you're shooting 50 is because the guy from Hooters called you and said, "Get the fucking Hooters."
I wouldn't have came.
So don't fool me with that crap. But
Hey.
I will come up with another bet that we can follow with the people all year long. That Nolan Smith will be better this year than Josh Sweat. I guarantee it.
I guarantee you this, that he goes to Arizona, plays out there in the West where they throw the ball more in that division, and I guarantee you he has 11.5 sacks out there.
No, he doesn't. No, there is a 0% chance Josh Sweat is 11.
And I'll guarantee you Nolan Smith will miss half. He'll miss half the year.
Josh Sweat having 11.
He's exactly what Vic says. He's a schwimp. He's an undersized schwimp.
Josh Sweat has been in the league for how many years? He's got 1 year where he's had 11 sacks. He had 11 sacks 1 year of his career in how many seasons? 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 seasons.
Okay. In the last 3 years.
If we signed this guy in free agency, you'd say, "Oh, I don't know."
What's this? 8, and 11.5. This guy has had 27 sacks the last 3 years. Like, what is it? 26 sacks the last 3 years. And you think your boy Nolan Smith's going to drop a 10 nut?
Nolan Smith will be better. All right, let's see. Nolan Smith's going to be better than him this year. I guarantee it. It's my first guarantee of the year. Nolan Smith will outproduce Josh Sweat.
Tyler Steen will get beat up by Kenyon.
I'm not ready to make a take on Tyler Steen.
Kenyon Martin. Oh, wait, that's the hoop
I'm not
guy.
ready to push back on you on Tyler Steen yet. What I will push back on, though, is Josh Sweat versus Nolan Smith.
Let me get you out of here. I know you got a lot.
I got to go. Holy shit.
Hey, guys, I know that. Listen, don't forget, make sure you check Xander and John. Hey, you tell John, man, great stuff he's been doing it. You guys are killing it. He had a great week last week. Thanks a lot, Xander. Appreciate you, brother. We'll catch you after the show and also on Birds 365 in the morning. Thank you, brother.
Appreciate it, Sills. Later, guys.
You got it. That's our great friend, Xander Krause. Make sure you catch him right after the program here. Hey, don't forget our great friends at Morgan & Morgan. If you're ever injured, this is the law firm you want to be associated with. It's the #1 injury law firm in America with over $20 billion in recovery for their clients across the country. This is what makes them special. They go to battle with their thousands of attorneys from coast to coast that will get you and your family the proper return when other companies, the insurance companies, don't want to do the right thing. Morgan & Morgan makes sure they go in and they do and get the #1 recovery for you and your family. Listen, if you're ever injured, Morgan & Morgan is the place for you to check out. More information, go to forthepeople.com/Big Sills or #529. That's forthepeople.com/Big Sills or #529. And do me a favor, you tell them Big Sills sent you.
This is Eric. When he got injured in a car accident, he called Morgan & Morgan. He not only gets a lawyer, he gets trial lawyers like Sam and Jessica who are in it to win it. He gets his own investigators with briefcases, leather ones. And if you ever have questions, our customer service folks keep things rolling. Injured? We're your army. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Ignite your nights with free live entertainment daily, only at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia's Center Bar. 7 days a week, enjoy some of the region's top party bands, performers, and DJs as they take the stage in the heart of the casino action. Great cocktails, live music, and lively moments. It's all happening at Center Bar at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia. Visit livecasinophilly.com for more details and the complete list of upcoming events. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Your financial future is on the line. Are you ready for what's next? At Leone & Company Wealth Management, we help young professionals, business owners, and pre-retirees navigate the complexities of building and protecting wealth. For young professionals, we'll help you grow your wealth, plan for your future, and make the most of your hard-earned dollars. For business owners, we provide strategies to protect your company, manage risks, and create a lasting legacy for both your business and personal wealth. For pre-retirees, we'll design a plan to secure your retirement, ensuring you can live comfortably and confidently in your next chapter. Whether you're just starting out, managing a thriving business, or preparing for retirement, we're here to help you take control of your financial future. The first consultation is on us. Get the advice you need without the cost. Let's make your financial vision a reality. Take the next step. Scan the QR code to schedule your free consultation today. And of course, go Birds.
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong as the #1 health insurer in the region. No IBX is always looking out for you.
EAGLES. Eagles.
Hit the like button. Big sales. Appreciate you guys coming aboard. Thank you guys. Great stuff here, man. I mean, especially on this Monday. And look, the rest of the way out, now we're going to start getting ready for the draft. Some of these signs that you're seeing now, okay, like Aziz here, I mean, these are roster guys. And this is not awful. Okay, I mean, 1-year deal, $4 million, former Georgia Bulldog. He's been productive. Now, again, one thing you're going to have to do is go back and watch the tape because the last 3 years, I think the New York Giants defense has been terrible. And so those could be like fool's gold numbers. You don't sign here. What makes Milton Williams and Josh Sweat such great signs, they're on the #1 defense and a Super Bowl championship defense. You sign a guy with 10 sacks on the worst defense in the league? I'm sorry, I'm not buying that. I mean, what are the pass rush situations? Was your defense like look at Micah Parsons' sacks. Okay? How many sacks did Micah Parsons have last year? They meant nothing. Their defense was terrible. I'm supposed to put value in a guy who was on one of the worst defenses in the league. Now, here's the deal with Myles Garrett. Myles has put up 14 sacks a year, and he's played on the #1 defense in Cleveland. And Cleveland is horrible at building a championship roster. They're one of the worst organizations in all of the NFL next to the Jets. But yet somehow that guy elevated the Browns to the #1 defense in the league. 2 years ago, he did that. That's why when you look at that guy and you go, Myles Garrett's a generational player. He is. When you look at Micah Parsons, how generational can a guy be on the 28th ranked defense? How generational are you? This guy's a great player. Well, he's a great player on a shitty defense. Okay. Well, how great are you in your impact and what you bring to a team? Look at this. See this here? Cowboy fans, I don't believe the Cowboy fans, Bruce, are that dumb. They're dumb. I don't believe they're that dumb. The conversation with Micah Parsons and Reggie White is a joke. Reggie White and Lawrence Taylor are here. And then it's everybody else. And that includes Ed Reed and Ray Lewis and Sapp and Randy White and the rest of them guys. Even Brian Dawkins. There's two dudes. And you can debate. And you know what you say with those two dudes? I'll take Reggie. I'll take LT. All right, I'll take LT. You take Reggie. You're good. Nobody has ever dominated the league like those two players. Here, if I had to pick my top 5 defensive players in NFL history, 4, 5. Let me do a Mount Rushmore. I'll do my top 4. Greatest defensive players. Who would I put it for? I'm going to put Butkus there at 4. 3. At 3. I'm going to put Deacon Jones. At 2. God, these guys are so freaking amazing. Reggie and LT. I'm going to put Lawrence Taylor number 1 because he won 2 championships. But that would be the only metric. If you're just going skill, God forbid. They both could play the run. They were both intimidating. They were just sensational. I'll put 2. I'll put Reggie, and then I'll put Lawrence Taylor. So my top 4 guys, if I had a Mount Rushmore, it'd be Lawrence Taylor, Reggie White, Deacon Jones, and Butkus. That would be my 4 greatest defensive players that's ever played. I know Ed Reed. I know best safety ever. I get it. Ray Lewis is in there. But these are all guys that changed the game. Okay? Micah Parsons. Yeah, Michael Parsons is not better than Pat Swilling. Aaron Donald. Yeah, when has Aaron Donald ever played on the number 1 defense? Every one of these guys has played on the number 1 defense in the NFL before. Aaron Donald's never. I don't believe he really played to run all that hot. Okay? Mean Joe Green's up there, but yeah, no. All right. I want to say this about Jalen Hurts. Doesn't Jalen Hurts have to elevate his game this year? Jalen can't be the second best player on his offense this year. He was the second or third best player in his huddle offensively. Barkley was the better player. The guy who carried the football team to the Super Bowl and the championship was Barkley. Without Barkley, there's no title. Okay? What was the one person that changed the offense? Saquon, not Hurts. He changed the offense so much, they stopped throwing the ball. Jalen's got to be better. Okay? He's got to be better every week. He's got to show up every week. If Jordan Davis has to be more productive on the D-line to help those double team and triple teams, look at M. Reyes. I'm not talking about one game. I'm talking about carrying your football team and being better and not 29-03. How you doing? Okay? He's got to be better week to week. Nobody in their right mind would say that Jalen Hurts was the best offensive player. Well, hey, but get this. Would anybody here say that Jalen Hurts was the best football player in the offensive huddle for the Eagles this past year? Would anybody say that? Nobody. 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 Hey, M. Reyes, if your boy's so good, pay him $65 million. Come on now. They ain't paying that guy more than Josh Allen. You could take that to the bank. That ain't happening. Yeah. That ain't happening. Not happening. We shall see. Again, the draft now, we're talking a couple months away now. They've done all the work they're going to do, pretty much free agency. They're going to be more just these kind of signs that you're going to see over the last couple weeks here. Last week and this week, now heading into this week, you're going to get a lot of these B-plus signings now. So that's where you're going to go. I don't know. I thought he tried too much in 23 after his 23 season, and that didn't work out well. Hey, Roland, well, he's not going to be a week-to-week, every week guy where he's going to lead your offense. Last year, your offense was led by one guy, and that was Saquon Barkley. Okay? Senor, why did the Bills give Josh more money? Because Josh Allen is the only guy in that huddle that carries his team. That's why. They just don't have a very good roster around them like they do in Philly. That's not Josh or Jalen's fault. That's called building a team. I mean, they gave him more money because he's a better player. That's why. Nobody on their planet would think Jalen Hurts is a better player than Josh Allen. Nobody. Or Burrow. And by the way, you see what Cincinnati did. Cincinnati, and I agree with John McMullen. I think Duke Tobin does a nice job there evaluating. Unfortunately, he's got to be very careful in how he spends his money. But Joe Burrow demanded something. I mean, Cincinnati spending money like this, what was the number for both these guys? Here. 4 years, $161 million. Comes out to $40 million. Little tick over it, $40 million annually to keep Jamar Chase. And then they turned around. And I guarantee you, Joe Burrow, he was instrumental in this 4-year, $115 million deal for T. Higgins that paid him nearly $28 million or $30 million a year. That is taking a knee to Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow probably demanded that. Hey, listen here. You can't keep letting guys leave or I'll leave. That's why they're in a conversation now with Trey Hendrickson. There's no coincidence that he threw out, I really like the way the Eagles do business and how they sign players and get ahead of it by signing play. You know, if Duke Tobin and Cincinnati were smart, instead of letting Bates out the building a year ago, they would have taken more of the philosophy of what the Philadelphia Eagles do. Because look at this. You ended up paying $100 million more for T. Higgins and Jamar Chase than the Eagles had to pay because they got out in front of the A.J. Brown and the Devontae Smith contract. Cincinnati's paying $100 million more. $100 million more on the same deal if they would have addressed it earlier. That's how you save money. That's why the Eagles are ahead. One thing I hear John talking all the time, don't forget to check out the show right after us. John says the Eagles never cut a bad deal when it comes to contracts. I would agree to that. You know why? If you can get out of the Carson Wentz deal and they're willing to eat $33 million or the Alshon Jeffries, remember, I showed you guys, with the new CBA, you can defer 2 years of dead cap money. You can do that over a 2-year span. You can't spread it out 5 years, but you can do 2 years. So if you owe 30, you could split it up. So when people say dead cap, when they see that AJ, you could cut that in half to 30. Like they did the Jeffries deal. They split that up so that it would be less of hits. I think it was $5 million the last, was it 2 years ago was the last payment that was due on that? So again, I mean, people's like, well, you got a dead cap hit this year. No, it's not. You can defer that. Read your CBA. It's not that hard. But John's right. They don't sign deals where they can't have a back door, where they can get out of these contracts and have some, like the only problem you have with Hurts is Hurts has got a no trade. And what makes Hurts untradeable is not the no trade. It's the cap hits that are so minimal. I mean, Dak Prescott's got a $90 million cap hit this year. Jalen Hurts has a $19 million cap hit. I mean, you want to know the difference between the Cowboys and the Eagles? There it lies right there. Just in the way they do business. They're patient and they're disciplined. And that's what they're showing now. I don't have a problem with what they've done. These signings here, they're going to sign like 15, 20 of these guys. And you know what they're going to do? They're going to land on 3 of them again, like they did with Becton and like they did with Bond and Oren Burks. They're going to land on 3 guys that are going to help them. All right. Want to thank Marcus Hayes a lot. Having me on WIP last night, coming on today. Also, Angelo Cataldi. Xander was awesome. We'll have Gary Cobb tomorrow. We really appreciate it. Guys, do me a favor. Please hit that like button. Stay tuned for Xander and John. They'll give you a wraparound on what's going on with the Eagles and free agency. They just signed a kid from the New York Giants. 2 to 6 tomorrow, and we'll see you on the flip side.